Hey, everybody, it's Tuesday, April 2nd, 2024. That makes my tummy feel bad, but my tummy feels so good to be here with you on the Giant Bombcast, episode 834, powered by N6T. I'm your host, as always, Jan Ochoa. Joining me, co-captain of the ship. He's feeling a little bit April Fool's, and still, he's giggling, he's chuckling, he's clicking on all the clickbait articles and thinking, lol, Jeff Grubb.
Yeah, my April Fool's joke was saying I would actually do my expenses yesterday. Got to do them now.
Gatekeeper of the expenses, approving them and not approving them and not approving of any of our shenanigans. Jeff Bachelor.
I simply cannot go through with any of this. It is work that is beneath me, and I'm too smart for that shit. So I protest all expense reports. Steal the money you can and run away.
Yeah, why can't we have AI do that job?
Yeah, why?
Right?
Yeah. Oh my God.
What the fuck?
We're
You're
using
totally
it for evil.
right.
We need to use it to, get rid of our menial labor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking about being too smart for us, we also have, speeding through the podcast, Shawn McDowell.
I don't know about that one, Jan, but I'll take it, man.
In the time that I've known you, I think you're the smartest one here.
Mm-hmm.
So, how's everyone doing, boys?
Yeah, I'm doing pretty. You know, you nailed it, Jan. It shouldn't be April 2nd already. That's it.
It's
I mean,
icky.
I know this podcast is now just old men complaining about how fast time is slipping past them.
Speak for yourself.
It's a
But
good
it
category,
sucks.
by the way.
Yeah.
We're number one in that category.
Oh yeah,
That's
yeah,
good.
definitely. We dominate. It hurts to feel time go by that quickly. I used to be like, man, a year away couldn't feel longer to me when I was a kid, and now it's like a blink of an eye.
So I can't have other people confer that with me and validate that feeling.
Oh, it's
because I just
gonna get
need it-
worse.
Oh, great.
No, I mean, when you think time passes this fast when you're like 68, I don't think it does. I just don't think you're as busy.
Because everything hurts then. So
You
you're
know,
just
like-
like in pain all the time.
Yeah.
So my understanding of the way that we perceive time is full and substantial, and I know everything about it. Is that we need to you need to make new memories in order to feel time passing more slowly. Otherwise, if the days run together and you kind of have a pretty monotonous life, it will feel like it's going by very quickly. That's why the pandemic seemed to go by so fast for everyone. Our lives were still the same every day. I can't imagine most senior citizens out there doing something new every day. I bet their lives are going by pretty quickly.
Yeah.
All right, you want an update on that?
Oh yeah, please.
Yeah, what's going on
yes.
with the senior citizens?
What's Sweet Lou up to?
Sweet Lou yesterday. So yesterday it was real rainy and shitty in Jersey, and it's I don't know, it's 12:30, and I couldn't find my dad. I was like, where is he? I knew he didn't have plans. I knew he wasn't going anywhere. I was like, where the fuck is this freak? So I don't know why I thought to look, but I opened up the garage door, and he's sitting halfway in the garage and halfway out the garage door on the driveway in a lawn chair.
Yeah.
Slimming it up.
Close enough to not getting wet from the rain, and
Living on the edge, Lou.
and he's just he's just on the phone with someone, just shooting the breeze, and I'm just like, what are you doing? We have a patio that's covered, and you're more than welcome to see. He's like, nope, driveway's more my speed. And I'm just like, okay, dude, do you want anything? Can I get you a drink or something? He's like, I'm all right. And I'm like, all right. So he's just sort of on vacation, is what I've put together.
Yeah.
He's just living
man.
his best life.
Took a little trip to the front yard. Yeah. Pretty fun.
You know, he's like,
That's
maybe
exciting.
tomorrow I'll try out the backyard.
Well,
See what
listen,
that's like.
Take it slow, Lou. Please don't hurt yourself.
Yeah, he's falling asleep real early these days. Let me tell you.
That sounds nice.
Yeah. I'm trying to get my life together, and time is going by too fast now that I've figured out the pieces to put together. I'm like, oh no, I've wasted so much time.
So Jan, I do keep eyeing the time blocking thing. I do keep glancing over at Lucy James and her incredibly organized life and thinking that would fix me. That would make me better.
Okay, hang on.
Have you enacted? Okay, Shawn. Yeah, okay, go ahead.
No,
yeah.
explain this to me. How Is this just using a calendar? What are
Yes.
you talking
Yeah.
about?
It's
Yes.
Notion. It's like Notion and a calendar. I
Oh,
think,
okay.
right?
Yeah,
It's like
I pull up my
Calendar
calendar.
2, the sequel to Calendar.
I pull up my calendar right here, and it's just a rainbow because I have everything organized. I'm like, what the hell are you people talking about?
That's why
Like,
you're smart, Shawn.
Yeah, see, I've never been able to live that life. That could never.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
This we know, Jeff Grubb. This we know.
And it's like not like a choice. It's just who I am. I was born this way.
And the thing is, I give off the illusion of someone put together.
Oh yeah,
It's just a mess.
it's a fake. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Fugazi.
Okay.
You know, that. So I go back and forth on this, friends. I think that
Grub, he doesn't want us to get our lives together.
No,
he doesn't want us to
back
be
and
better.
forth on us getting our lives together.
No, I do. I think we should not just throw our arms up in the air and be like, well, this is what I got. This is the best I could do. Like,
Oh no, you were
everyone-
trying. Like, listen, yeah, that's what we're
everyone should
talking
always
about.
Strive to do better. I'd like to think that I do that. And try
yes,
and be better.
but there's something to be said for going with the flow to the extent of, you know, a river flows in one direction. There's no point in trying to get it to flow the other direction, right? You dam it, you can like divert it, but why would you try to get the water to go the different direction? So I'm flowing this direction. A calendar's only going to go so far. Really,
Sure.
the idea is to just kind of be a little bit more mindful here and there, nip and tuck at these improvements. And so I was like, Jan, have you enacted any of these things? Like, what is the current strategy for self-improvement right now?
Yo, I got an obscene to-do list. I'm doing a mixture of the Dan Riker and Lucy James method. I'm going to coin this, turn this into a self-help book, and then make thousands, not millions, thousands. I'm going to be
Tens
modest
of
with my,
dollars.
with my
Dozens of
goal
dollars.
here. Dozens of dollary dues. Maybe 12 downloads on a PDF or an EPUB.
Whoa.
But
EPUB. Ooh.
I'll do the thing where Dan yells into his phone of Siri to remind him something, but I'll just type it into like my Notion to-do list, and that organizes by today, tomorrow, this week, this month, and then I'll take those tasks and time block them out. So right now, I have the podcast for an hour, and then afterwards, I literally have it say, send files to Shawn and CMS page, dumbass. I'm very demeaning to myself
Yeah, I
in my
got
to-do
that,
list,
yeah.
in my calendar
Strategy.
blocking.
If it
Yeah.
And
works
then
for you, you know.
after that, I got like, hey, idiot, you didn't pack yet, and you're leaving tomorrow. And then it's just a rainbow cavalcade, because I look at Lucy James and I think like, wow, Lucy James is so put together, calm all the time, accomplishes so many things. I want to be like that. That's all she does? Okay.
See, I'm afraid though, because my life is a little bit more chaotic with the kids. So it's like if something gets derailed and the time block like gets lost, I feel like I'd be someone with the way I react to things would be very frustrated and then discouraged by that, and it could easily just fall
This
apart.
is why
So-
you use the calendar, dude. You just
yeah.
drag and drop the block.
No, the
Yeah.
calendar has been the only source of consistency for my organizational life. I'm always on the hunt for a new X to-do app or something like that. I'm always on a hunt for like the next app I'm going to give up on.
Yeah, exactly.
In an unreasonable
Your
amount
future
of time.
ex-wife of an app, yes.
Exactly. Like, I'll say this, like the things I've found the most consistency aside from just like, a plain old calendar, is, there's like a built-in Microsoft note keeping app called OneNote, and I find myself using that a lot because it syncs across every platform, and it's and you could also draw on it too, which I do with my iPad sometimes. So that's been really the only consistency. I use Notion for like database stuff. I don't use it for organizing my life.
I've been using Google Keep since
Keep's
they
good.
introduced it.
Google
yeah.
Keeps what I use, yeah.
Keeps
And
good
since-
for like lists for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
since it integrates so well with just all my Android devices and everything like that. Just
Same.
If I needed to like doodle something down or anything, if that's the way I thought, I would use something like a OneNote. I did for a while, like in high school and college when OneNote was starting to take off. I used it a bit to jot stuff down and then share it with friends and stuff like that. But since I'm just like, I just need a to-do list and a calendar, that's enough for me, and Google's got me covered on that. So that's just been how I've been organized for the past decade.
Grub, what you do is you factor in the chaos time. You
24 hours a day, yes.
you create enough padding in between the big tasks to factor in, so you get yourself into the butter zone.
Man, I want to be in the butter zone so
I love
bad.
the butter zone, man.
Had to bring up the butter zone.
Okay, so wait, how minute are you titling these blocks? Is it I am going to organize my sock drawer, or is it organization time? And then you decide what you're going to do within that block.
Well, my personal problem is I forget about the specific tasks a lot.
Yeah,
so
totally.
it is super minute like that. So
Okay.
it's for tomorrow morning, it's drop off dad to dialysis, but before that, take out the trash. And now I'm realizing I should just have a separate one that says take out trash
Yes.
before I
Yeah,
take my dad to
A
dialysis.
reoccurring one, yeah.
It's like
of course.
taking notes in a class. You need
Yeah.
just the,
I
the,
never did
like
that.
3 or that explains a lot.
Robin, I-
You need the like
Me
three-
too. That's the thing.
Yeah.
I know I was a terrible note taker too, but the way you need to do that is 3 or 4 words that just tell you everything you need to know. It's like use your journalism skills, Grub. Like you
Yeah,
know how to
those-
like write a headline.
Grub.
Just
Sure.
give like those 3 or 4 words that will catch your attention. So when we see it on the calendar or wherever you're putting it,
It would be
you know
the demeaning
exactly
stuff
what
that
you need
Jan's
to do.
talking about. You dumb bitch. Take
Yeah,
out the trash.
exactly. And then sometimes I add like a little winky face to it. It's like,
Wow.
you
Can you see
idiot.
yourself for
Bonus.
sexual harassment? Jesus, Jan.
And then like I have another reminder that's just like the Tex Avery Auga Wolf. Just like,
Nice.
hey
Nice.
man, just remember yourself at the end of the day.
Hey, speaking of butter zones,
Yes.
you guys, I know the eclipse is next week, and this time next week we'll be in its wake. You know, there's a sizable portion of the United States in like southern Illinois and south east, I guess, Missouri, that's gonna have the double overlap for the eclipse. So they got it in 2017, and they're also gonna get it for
Oh,
next
wow, that's
week.
cool.
Butt
Is it-
eclipse?
The butt. It's
Yeah,
not a
because like it's two circles coming together, right? It's the butt.
Well, no, I'm saying they had they were in the path of totality in 2017, and they're also in the path of totality next week.
I didn't know that. That's wild.
Isn't that nuts?
Yeah.
Has,
I mean, I suppose it has to happen, but yeah, it's still.
Certainly.
has the term path of totality been a thing? Because I heard that for the first time when you said it, Bacalar.
Yeah, it's without a doubt a thing. It's just
Okay.
a sort of like 100
I live in the path of
area.
totality.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's a Square Enix title.
It just
Yeah, it does
exactly. It
sound
sounds
like a
so
Kingdom
ominous.
Hearts
the
game.
sequel
Jesus.
was disappointing, but the first one,
Yeah.
the OG is the best.
I can't wait till they remake it.
It's nuts. It's like very close to St. Louis. This overlap thing. I don't know. It's super dope. I'm excited. I'm excited for this eclipse.
Yeah, me too. It's going to be. I might have like 3.5 minutes of totality. It's going to be
Wow.
pretty wild. Yeah.
You block
Look
that
forward
out.
Shit.
Grub, Grub.
yeah.
Here, I'm
He's
pitching
gonna
this
miss
here.
the eclipse. He's gonna miss the eclipse. He is. He
Grub, think
absolutely
about
is.
it. We're both successful people, right? We're both happy people. People at least respect us.
You.
That is truth to some extent.
Yeah, hang
There
your hat
is
on that.
a baby's handful of people that respect us based off of our brokenness now. Imagine if we
Oh,
got
yeah.
stuff together, that baby's handful would be 2 baby handfuls.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'd be way too powerful for sure.
Exactly.
I'd be proud of Jan. That would just be Grub losing his charm. I don't know.
Yeah,
about that.
exactly.
But
Oh
Shawn,
man, you fell off, Grub.
what if the Game S LLC gave you a raise?
Grub, you gotta get your shit together, dude.
I'm excited for like my kid to start using a calendar. I want to share a calendar with my kid. Like I'm looking forward to that because that waved goodbye, obviously with Lou and Sue. That's obviously not going to happen. But like,
Wait. Your mom's name is Sue?
Sue and Lou. Yeah,
Sue and Lou. I never knew this.
yeah.
Okay.
Jeff Stacy. Ah, man.
No,
Nah,
no
nah,
rhyming
you
happening
got a
there.
sitcom on your hands right there, buddy.
Oh, believe me, I'm living it every day. It's like somewhere between Everybody Loves Raymond, a bit
Yeah.
of like the Seinfeld with like the Florida parents thing, a little bit,
Yeah.
even though my parents ain't going to Florida. Yeah, there's a lot of that. That is my life right now.
God, I can't wait to be the in-law character, and the old in-law character in a sitcom in my life. Can't wait for that phase. I just pop in out of the kitchen, say something nonsensical, and then you just get your one episode, and then there's like the heart-wrenching thing, like, oh, he's dead. Oh no, he's fine. Okay,
You're the one they like visit in the hospital, right? And they're just
Yeah.
like, yeah,
Mandelbaum.
we gotta check on him. He's the glue of this family somehow, some way.
And then it turns out I'm not related to this family at all. Games. No, wrong music. Games. You know, aging is a lot like rolling the dice sometimes, right? You never know what you're going to get. Sometimes you're just like, oh no, my kidney hurts. Oh no, my sciatica. I don't know what a sciatica is. I hear it all the time. But speaking about dice, I have been playing Slice and Dice. And shouts out to Jeff Grubb, because Jeff Grubb linked me this morning on our team Slack. And then I laughed to myself. I lulled out loud when I saw it, because I'd already been playing Slice and Dice.
You motherfucker. That's incredible.
Someone had recommended this during a game mess, and then I sought it out, and currently it is on, you can get the demo on Steam, but I think the full game is out on mobile, or pretty much the whole game is out on mobile.
I think it's been on an Android for a while. Yes.
Okay.
And I think it's on Apple and Steam, like in the last couple of weeks. And
So-
it's not expensive on Steam.
Oh, neato. It is an RPG dice game of sorts, where you have a party of up to 4 characters, and each character has their own specific die, but it's not numerical dice. It is abilities. So some of it is defend, attack, blank. So nothing.
Yeah.
You just whiff. And then from there, you use those abilities, or like spell casting or an archer, depending on the class. And you use those, you roll the die when it's your turn, and then use those abilities to attack the enemy. And you have up to 3 rerolls per turn, and you can lock in your dice by
so you can lock in some of the dice and then hit the reroll for the dice that like did whiff, or have it like, oh, I don't need to defend this turn, because you can actually see the enemies what they're going to do beforehand. They show you, okay, they rolled these die and they got these abilities, and they'll show you who they're going to attack.
Yeah.
So you can plan ahead based on what you're getting. So you can be like, I want to try to roll this. So hitting that reroll button for things that whiff is mandatory. You have to do that.
Yeah, I really like how they project in this game, like you said, Grub, of like who they're going to attack and for how much damage, because it really does just make this an actual numbers game of like, okay, well, I could theoretically kill off these enemies before they attack my one guy and kill him, or I could just try and re-roll and get like a defensive type of ability popping off to protect that guy for the next turn. And I kind of want roguelikes to ditch the card mechanic. Like, love Slay the Spire, love Monster Train, but I think I get emails for so many indie games that are almost very similar iterations of the whole card-based thing that like, let's scale it back, guys. Let's just go to dice. And then as you progress through the tree and everything, you are upgrading those dice abilities so you can get rid of.
You get like items that you can like apply to your dice, and then it'll change it. So I think I did it with one of mine where I had an archer and they had a couple of blank spots, and then I added an item, and it's like, no, we're going to improve every single side of the die is going to get an improvement, and there's going to be no blank spots left. So every single time this character rolls their die, they're going to get a bow and arrow, and they're going to be able to attack on their turn. And sometimes it's going to do a ton of damage.
Yeah, and then other modifiers like a cleave type of ability where your main warrior dude now attacks adjacent enemies. So targeting enemies also factors in, where you want to hit the middle dude because you wind up getting the other 2 enemies on their side. It's very bare bones in terms of the graphics, but I love the thing that they promote on the Steam page is 3D realistic dice physics.
Yeah.
Finally.
That does actually kind of matter to me. Watching dice bounce around on a screen, I want it to at least look somewhat realistic.
Yes.
And they get pretty close here. They get pretty
Sadly.
close here. Yeah.
I would really enjoy. I actually haven't tried to shake my phone when playing the game, but if they had a mode where I could shake the die,
They should. What are
that'd
we
be
doing?
really good. You know,
the
like
haptics.
the haptic feedback on like
You need
phones.
HD
really
Rumble
good.
for that, for sure.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Jen, I think you're right about like I'm not like sick of cards, but I want them to take that abstraction and apply it in different ways. And this is definitely a similar kind of abstraction, right? But for me, it's maybe even more handy because a die has 6 sides, and I can very easily keep in my mind everything that's on that die. As opposed to like when as soon as a card kind of goes away with the way my brain works, I do kind of forget about it. So I need to play a bunch of times over and over for the strategy of like, or the possible strategies to get ingrained in my brain. Like, oh yeah, that card is still in the deck. I can maybe plan for it to show up and make some moves. And I definitely get there eventually. But with the die, it's like, it's all right there. I can see it. I know what I'm going for. And I know it makes it just easier to like enact strategies. And so I really like the way that they have taken this approach. And I think it's a completely valid way next to a card mechanic to have die that you're rolling.
Why was I was like so obsessed with one of those booths at PAX with the dice.
Oh, which one?
Oh my god!
Wait,
like,
the one that had like the millions of different kinds of dice sets? Or dice, dice sets?
So it was doing something, and I got it in front of it, right? Like I wouldn't let it take over. I got in front of it.
Sure, your Dark Passenger almost took hold, yeah.
But like, Vinny was like looking, he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna get this one." I'm like, "What?"
No.
Yeah,
he bought a bunch of die.
there.
He bought a bunch of die.
Yeah.
Die, right?
Dice if it's plural.
Right. He bought a bunch of dice. And I was just like, I think I need that. And he's like, yeah, get some. And I'm like, but why? What am I? What do I need? What do I need dice for? I don't need
damage
dice
counters. You play Pokemon, right?
No, I don't do. I don't do D&D. I don't do Pokemon aside from like opening a lot of packs.
You can admit it. You do back alley dice gambling. Come on.
Dude, you don't bring fancy dice to that.
Well,
maybe
you're a baller.
But we could start using fancy dice. Yeah, I don't know what it was like. It, but like I think
Shawn pulled out a velvet sack.
Oh, it's velvet. What do you got?
Velvet.
Oh, look! Whoa, look at that satchel.
Wow, that's a good sound, Shawn.
It's very satisfying.
Is this just for Pokemon damage counting?
It is.
How fancy are your dice?
That's pretty sad, Shawn.
Metal.
They're metal. Why is that sad? That's not sad. I mean,
I know. I was just being a shithead.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Oh, he just likes giving me shit for playing Pokemon.
For your metal dice.
Do I have anything in here other than the metal ones? This is what they give you when you buy one of the products nowadays. Because it's
like
good for
the ETB or whatever. It's called?
the ETB.
Oh, those are
actually,
good.
I don't know if they do it anymore. I think they
No,
got
they
rid of it
do.
with
They're
the new
just
era.
they're like I think they're more plastic.
Yeah, I think they went back to plastic. It used to be if you buy like the Pokemon Center version, they would give you some little nice things, and one of them would be metal dice like this one. So I still like having these around.
Yeah, and like Vinny grabbed one, and the one he bought it had like liquid in it. I'm like, what?
Ooh.
It's got like sparkly liquid inside the dice.
Yeah.
Does that like change the fizz? I mean, it has to, like the water
Well,
mechanics.
maybe it's isolated in like the center where it wouldn't.
Yeah, that's.
I don't think it would make it, and I don't think it
it.
would make it more predictable. So I'm sure it'd be fine. But it's like,
yeah, I have the one here that I always roll when we do a Jeopardy grub. My one from the Pokemon State Championships. This probably won't show up on camera. 2013. I got a stamped one there with the Play Pokemon logo.
Nice.
Yeah, it needs to be done in a certain way, otherwise it does affect the physics of it. Yeah, it's no good for.
And aren't there like these like column like dice roller things where you just like drop the dice and then it goes through like a Slingo kind of thing?
Oh, I haven't seen that, but that's just too much right there.
It's just too much. It's just the
like they
too
did.
far.
What do you remember the Pokemon TCG Classic? The like really high end thing that they did.
Sure, I'll
like
agree
just from a couple months ago.
Yeah. Oh, it's called the Dice Tower. Yes, thank you.
Yeah, but that thing had this thing where it's like a roulette wheel where you like roll a metal ball and it goes into like this roulette thing and then it does heads or tails. I'm just like, bro, just roll a fucking die. It's so much easier.
I like the pop it die on a sorry.
That's good.
Super satisfying.
That's very
Pushing it,
satisfying.
pops out and like wants to explode, but it's got the dome just like we do on this flat Earth.
Like bubble hockey.
It's like bubble hockey and Earth.
And Earth.
Yeah. Oh God, there was the Yahtzee game, the Yahtzee ripoff in the 51 game collection. I can never remember Clubhouse games on Switch. Me and Steph played that in bed like every night for like a month because it was just so fun to roll the dice in that.
Dude, Clubhouse is. Oh, I played that last time I was out playing with my buddy, and that is just a great playing game. Just going down the line, going through all that.
It's actually fun single player to
yeah,
go through all
the
those.
board games, the card games, but like we were doing local wireless in like the mini golf, like the office golf set and stuff. Oh, man, that's a good game.
Good game.
Unrelated to die completely. Hearing Backlar talk about shooting dice made me think of the board game Crossfire.
Sure.
Oh hell yeah, Crossfire! You get caught up in the crossfire.
Yeah.
Right?
Maybe the most powerful board game advertisement ever made.
Yeah.
Like I was under the impression if you
Tabletop game.
lost a round, you were sent to the depths of hell.
Yeah.
Yes.
Uh-huh. When CNN or whatever had that Crossfire show, I still thought of the game first. I'm like, why are they ripping
Wow.
off the game? Yeah.
That shit was cool. Yeah.
Anyway, while I'm searching for images of Crossfire, it seems like Shawn has been soul searching in a grab bag of sorts.
Oh yes, Jan, because as mentioned last time I was on the show, I think Bombcast last week, I did finish Persona 3 over the weekend, and man, I had the feeling that I've had a few times with a game. I had it with Persona 5 and Royal. I had it with Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, where I'm just like, dude, video games are over. It doesn't get better than this. Like, what do I do with my life now?
No, yeah.
Yeah, Reload just kept getting better as you see all the remastered stuff and everything just being polished to a T all the way to the end and getting better and better. And the ending, Jan, you've never finished Persona 3 before, right?
Negative.
That ending hits you like a truck. I won't say why, but
Okay.
man, even knowing what was coming and seeing this ending multiple times, it still hits. And afterwards, I was just sitting there. I was in the chair back there, just like, what do I do? What do I do next? I don't know what to play now. It's like 10 p.m. I expect to finish the ending that quickly. I don't know what to do. And so I kind of just started firing up other stuff, figuring out what to play next. I did go back to Dragon's Dogma 2. Like I said, I wanted to give it another chance. And I don't know if it's because of the patch that they put out, or I tried a couple things. Some friends who were playing it reached out and were like, "Oh, hey, like you had a problem with this. You can fix it by doing that." Like someone mentioned the the Mr. X Knight that was following me everywhere. Someone mentioned that they did have that, and they think it's a bug as well. And if you just rest a bunch, that resets whatever aggro gets bugged out or whatever. So I did that, and I was actually able to continue the game and everything. I was like, yeah, still just not feeling it. Like I would take down a
that's okay.
Cyclops, and I'm like, I don't know. I don't feel anything from the combat or anything like that. I'm sure if you get later on, there's more combos and stuff you can do. But yeah, it's just,
different vocations might be different, that sort of thing.
so
Yeah.
I gave it a fair chance, and hey, just not for me. Whatever. So I was starting to just go down the line here of the other things on the backlog. I did fire up Unicorn Overlord finally.
Okay.
I'm getting around to that one. So I only played the intro level. Jan, help me out here because you've played at least a little bit here. It seems like you have sort of the RTS map where
Yes.
you're moving your groups around, and then when a group gets to another group, both groups are on basically like a 3x3 grid that you set up beforehand, and so they
Yes.
auto battle. Now I know what you mean when you're saying it's like Fire Emblem-y, Advance Wars kind of thing, where they're on the grid and you have to position them in a way that's the most defensive way possible. So like your healer is in the back of the grid,
Sure.
your
That's
knight
very
is in
Fire
the
Emblem.
front defending them. Is it entirely just like you're moving the groups around the map and then they auto battle when they come in contact?
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay.
And then like positionality, like if you're going up against like an enemy group that has like people holding spears, like they pierce through. So your friendly units that are in a similar column or right behind each other will both get hit at the same time versus like kind of staggering them out.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, a lot of people are comparing it to like Final Fantasy XII's Gambit system. You sort of like set things up in advance and then it plays out. I'm not sure that's the kind of strategy I'm really looking for here. I do like things to be a little more active, so we'll see. It might be a good Switch game. I started out on the big TV. The way I do all games. I just want to see how it looks and sounds and everything like that. But it might be a good Switch game. I think I'm gonna keep trucking as my like handheld game. The Steam Deck has blurred lines for me, man, because just like any AAA game I'm playing now, except for Dragon's Dogma, I can just play on the Steam Deck as well. And so it's like there is no difference between console, PC, and handheld games for me anymore. So it's weird. With Unicorn Overlord, I'm like, I think this might just be a handheld game for me, and that's surprising.
Yeah, it kind of. I got on the PS5, and then I'm tempted to pick it up on the Switch because I'm in that similar boat, Shawn, where I think I'd have a better time for whatever reason playing it handheld versus just on the big screen. Just because, just the way everything's formatted, it doesn't give that huge sweeping feeling that a PS5 would maybe require.
Yeah,
it's
and
just
that's
like, I just
why
wanna huddle with it.
Yeah, and that's why I chose Switch, because I'm like, even if I were to end up playing this like a console game and playing it on the big TV and everything, I do think I at least want the option. I could tell that I would want the ability to play in handheld mode. I think and things are, it's vanillaware, so everything's basically a PNG, if you will, and so things do scale a little funkily onto the big screen, where it's a little soft of an image playing on the Switch, like the 1080
Oh, yeah.
scaled
Yeah.
upwards. Yeah. But
If
I think
only-
I'm digging what's put down. Yeah.
If only they released it on Steam.
Right? Wouldn't
Then-
that be nice?
And you could
Yeah.
have both. We could
Not
have
getting my
both,
hopes
Sean.
up.
Yep.
Not getting my hopes
just
up.
like with Persona. That's the reason I knocked out I finished at 75-ish hours because I did almost everything. That's how I was able to, as busy as I am, is because I can sit in front of the TV. I can sit here at the PC. I can sit in bed with my Steam Deck. Like, it just feels weird playing anything not in that method anymore. And everything needs to be on PC for that reason.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm having a hard time keeping up with Dragon's Dogma 2 for that reason. Like, it's just hard to get over the
Yeah.
PC and play.
Even
Have
on
you
the
tried-
Roger, that's not going to run it super well either.
Have y'all
Gotcha,
tried
yeah, it's
streaming
okay.
it from?
I have this like a mental block of, because the way I play games on Steam Deck is I have an hour straight. I'm gonna play for an hour straight, and I do play for an hour straight. And then sometimes it's like, oh, I don't know how much time I have. I played for 10 minutes. I'm putting into the sleep mode, and I plan to get back to it as soon as possible, like in the next couple of minutes. But it could happen. Suddenly, it could be 2 hours later. And the idea of the game running idly on my computer downstairs in the basement, because it's waiting for me to turn the Steam Deck back on, drives me crazy. And I don't know.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know how to get over that. And also, like, it's not always super reliable to like rebuild that connection when you come back
Right.
from sleep on the Steam Deck. Sometimes it's just gonna break, and it's like, well, now I can't even shut the damn game down from a remote location, like from upstairs. I have to go all the way in the basement, turn the game off, and then I'm gonna start it back up after just shutting it down so I can play it on the Steam Deck. I just get frustrated by the whole experience.
I have the issue of I mentioned this when we were talking about Dragon's Dogma, like knowing all this tech stuff, and it's sort of like a thing you can't unknow. I can tell that streaming. I can see like the artifact and everything that bothers me. I'll be in bed, and my
Steam Deck
router's
OLED's
right
pretty
here.
good with it, though, to be fair. Yes.
Yeah, it's anything more realistic is going to do it for me. If it's something simpler like Persona, I was in the middle of a long boss fight because I was doing one of the more challenging ones, and I was playing it on the TV because I just have my PC hooked up to the TV here, so I'm just playing on the TV. I'm like, man, I'm really tired. I kind of just want to lay down. And I was like, oh, you know what? Screw it. And so I lay down, bring up the Steam Deck, and then it seamlessly connects to the game mid-session, and that looked pretty good because simpler colors and everything like that. But yeah, just Steam Deck has changed the way I play games. But anyways, where I ended up in all this soul searching is the one that I've been trying to get back to for so long now, Like a Dragon, if not well.
Oh, neat.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, because I got like 10 hours into it. I was in Hawaii.
Finally, a
with,
real RPG. Let's go.
I was hanging out with, Kiryu and Eric and everyone. And yeah, I just wanted to get back into that. I was playing it and I'm like coming off of Persona, this type of like soap opera-y melodrama.
Yeah.
I didn't know if I was feeling it right away. But dude, then Ichi opens his mouth and I'm just like, I love this game. These guys are great. Yeah, and so that's where I'm sitting right now. I played a couple hours of that last night. I'm like, yeah, I'm just gonna keep rocking this.
So you're in Hawaii?
Yeah. I just got the bombshell that Kiryu has cancer, and everyone's like dealing with that now.
Right. Okay.
Yeah,
Cool.
that's where I am.
Cool.
God, what a game! I'm glad that you circled back to it, Sean. It's neat that Bailey it's now on Bailey's radar.
Yeah, I saw her playing that.
Shawn, of all these RPGs, have you glanced over a Grand Blue Fantasy Relink at all?
Jan, give me a code, goddamn! I keep bugging about it.
I had to buy it myself, dog. I don't know who to ask.
I like started it up and just to like feel what the combat is like, and it's it's a typical RPG action combat basically. And it definitely feels kind of like a diet RPG right now in terms of, or a diet AAA game where it's almost on the production value side of like not a Final Fantasy VII remake or rebirth, but all other RPGs right now. And it's like, but you could tell it's like, they hold back a little bit. I don't know. Something about it just feels a little bit cheaper. And yet it's still pretty charming, I think, so far. I did the prologue, and it's like been okay.
Okay. Did you play Tales of Arise at all?
I started it, and I did the thing there where I tried to figure out the combat to see if I would be into it. And now I don't remember how I felt about it.
I hear that comparison a lot. I also hear that it's not much of an RPG per se. It's supposed to be more Monster Hunter-y.
Yeah, I've
Relink?
heard that as well. Yeah, like
Relink. Yeah.
Oh, interesting. I don't know.
like people treat it like a Phantasy Star Monster Hunter almost.
Yeah, like I've heard from most people who play it, your first instinct is to play it like an RPG, but then like it hits you that, oh wait, this is Monster Hunter, and that changes the way you play. I haven't really touched it, but that's what I've heard.
Interesting. Okay, so yeah, there's a really big, dragon fight in the first 5 minutes, and that felt like an RPG fight. It didn't feel like I was forcing, phases to change or doing anything specific because this monster's weak to this kind of thing. And if you like really think of the way a Monster Hunter game forces you to think, you'll get some advantages. But they were probably just introducing the concept of big monsters at that point. So yeah, that's the prologue. I've just barely touched it.
Okay,
Yeah, maybe we'll squat up in that game. We're reaching a lull right now where I'd love to circle back to a bunch of stuff or just check in with some things.
Yep.
Speaking about things, we checked something out on UPF last week. And Grub, you piloted this because my Elgato broke. And Grub, I don't know what happened. I think it's just fried.
Yeah, you need a new one. Let's see.
What happened?
His Elgato broke.
Yeah, I had like an HD60 joint. HD60S, whatever, it doesn't matter.
Got too hot?
I don't know. I tested out Thursday night. Worked completely fine. Then during game mess, pooped the bed. Don't know what happened. Tried it out on a couple other computers that we had here. Different HDMI cords, different USB-C stuff, different ports. I don't know. But I got a spare one laying around somewhere. But anyway, the Stellar Blade demo, if we're talking about gigantic set pieces and phallic looking things and fallopian tube looking substances.
Okay.
Are you aware of Stellar Blade?
Yeah, it's like it's action sword anime game.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
I think I enjoyed it. Where we stopped the demo on the stream, right after that is when it's like, oh no, it is Sekiro. The first big boss you get to is straight up a FromSoft boss, and it's no longer just go in there and whip it with your sword like an action game. It is like you're going to have to be paying attention to parry windows, and then and it felt really good. And then that's where I was like, okay, this game actually does have something going on, at least in terms of its combat. I thought that was fun. Outside of that, it's like, it's a fine action game. It does feel like in a lot of ways the game is missing that something. I think that's true for its world, its presentation, and even like the super sexy character. I think it was Gita on Twitter had a thread about the character. And she mentioned it's like, this character doesn't know she's sexy and doesn't behave in a way that like Bayonetta knows she's sexy and like uses that and walks around in such a way where she has ownership of it, and that like makes it that much better. And here it's like she's completely oblivious to it, and that does sort of, there's something missing there where it's like there's some charm to the sexiness that isn't coming through.
Yeah.
I think the character's attractive to look at. Whatever. Yeah, that's great. If that's your thing, have fun with it.
I was going to bring up that conversation point that people were having, or the yesterday or the weekend, whenever I saw it. It does feel weird, and some games that are trying to be sexy in the way that Bayonetta does, they miss the point.
Oh yeah, that definitely feels like this is happening.
It definitely feels like, we made this character who's wearing a ridiculously sexy outfit and is oblivious to it, and that just feels like, we put the character in the game for you to stare at. Not the character is sexy, and therefore there's a disconnect. I know there's some stuff there where it's like, they seem to be androids, and so they can like write that off and everything. But it does still just feel weird when it comes to the character in that world.
And like, there's always a space for a game to just kind of like miss the point. You're allowed to miss the point. You could put, if it's fun, that I'm gonna forgive a lot, including missing the point. But it is pretty blatant here that it's like, this is from a studio that played Bayonetta and then played Nier Automata, I mean that comes through in every ounce of the game. Like that the Nier is the nearness of it all. But when it's that obvious that they're kind of missing the point, it does feel like, okay, I get what we're going for here, but it feels a bit like sophomoric, feels like a student project in a lot of ways.
You nailed it, Grub, because it does kind of feel hollow in some parts, and I couldn't put my finger on it, but it reminds me in a weird way of Lies of P, where like P or Pinocchio, the character, just had no personality at all. And I know that most Souls games generally is kind of like a blank slate, but like
kind of stoic characters.
Sure, but I kind of liked. I think that makes me go back to why I like Sekiro so much. Of like, Wolf or whatever his name is there's so much character to him, and he just feels cool and like and gruff and everything. And there's nothing wrong with being horny on the internet, everyone.
No. It's gonna be okay.
What gave you that?
Let me tell you, there are people that are fucking banding around this game like it is the end all be all of like, finally we could be horny again.
Yeah, it'll save them from woke culture.
I was just gonna say this game ended wokeness. Hooray!
Yes,
that's
what they're saying.
There are people on the internet who legitimately are
I fucking love
using
that.
this game.
Yeah, it's good stuff because like I'm like, we're mostly just making fun of it, like how blatant it is, and not like, oh, you're not allowed to do this, and people get so mad if you just have any sort of sense of humor about this game. They're like, oh, okay, you've never been horny? I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? Calm down. I just think it's a little bit silly. That's all, and I also think it's a fun game. Both things are true.
I saw a streamer playing it the other day, talking about their time streaming it on Twitter, and people were like attacking them on Twitter for like cracking jokes at the game. It's like, it's what they always do. They're a streamer, of course that's what they do. But like, how fucking dare you?
What a game to be like to take so seriously.
What are we doing?
Okay, but anyways, speaking about the game itself, I was letting Jeff cook there because, I wanted to hear what he had to say. I've played the demo myself too. I was sitting in on the UPF, but I also then played the demo afterwards because, as I mentioned during the UPF, I've been really looking forward to this one. You don't get a lot of this style of character action game anymore. Everyone's trying to do Souls games instead, so seeing one of these come along, it's a little more rare. And I think it's very interesting because I like that you brought up Lies of PJ, and that's what I was going to bring to this is to Nier Automata what Lies of P was to Bloodborne last year, stylistically.
Oh,
yeah, it is very much a team played that game. They were like, oh, we love this game. We're making a game. It seems like they might not make a sequel to this game we really love. So, screw it. We'll do it ourselves. We'll just and it's... I keep dunking on Pal World on this site, but Pal World is like, we don't need to, relitigate this, but it basically is like copying to the point of, people talk about plagiarism and everything like that. I don't want to get into that, but it's very much feels like it's copying things from other games.
Yeah.
This feels like it is inspired in the same way that Lies of P is like inspired. That game was Victorian England and everything like that, but it was doing its own thing. This is like, what we just had hot android lady in an action game, and it's sci-fi and stuff like that. And so this game is very much inspired by that, but combat-wise, it's a hodgepodge of a bunch of different things. And I think that's what's interesting is because people are seeing what they want to see. Like Grub kept making the comparison to Sekiro, which I can see because you have things like enemies, both the bosses and smaller ones have a stagger gauge. The big attack that you can press forward and whatever the other attack button is, so you can jump behind them, kind of similar to the forward sort of lunge onto their weapon from Sekiro, that sort of thing. But I think because it is a mix of so many things that you, like I said, you can see what you want to see in this. And I'm playing this and knowing so much about all these action games, it definitely feels like Devil May Cry to me. I think people conflate Devil May Cry with Platinum games, but they are different in feel. Yeah, they're different. Platinum is so much faster.
Fucking play this game now?
I think you'll have a good time with it.
Yeah,
but, this is much more methodical, and so I think that's why the Souls comparison.
That's the Souls comparison. You have to be methodical, and I do not do that in a lot of other character action games. There's also bonfires. There's just straight up bonfires and other like little things like that where you can make that comparison. But I think
like what I told Grub while he was playing it, because he was taking the slower approach like FromSoft game, and you can absolutely do that.
Yeah, I was
because
trying to get the parry windows down.
Yeah, she blocks. There's an emphasis on parrying, so I can see why you would play that. I play it completely differently. I play it like I would play Dante: slash 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 dodge slash slash slash
Sure.
parry.
Once I got the dodge and started using it more, it was like, oh, okay. You're supposed to use the dodge way more than I thought the game was telling me. It was telegraphing to me early
it's
on.
weird that the dodge is locked because you need the dodge.
You need the dodge.
But I realized, it's a tutorial.
It's a tutorial. Yes,
You
exactly.
will always get it. Yeah.
It wasn't a suggestion that like, oh, this is like an option. It's like, no, they force you to take it in the tutorial.
You will get it eventually,
Right.
no
so,
matter what.
Getting the witch time dodge, basically, it's like, okay, yes, they're taking a lot of inspirations here, obviously.
From a bunch of different stuff. And so that's why, whereas Nier is an RPG, this is, at least as far as I can tell from a demo, a more linear game that's going to have a skill tree that branches out. So it's more action gamey, sort of like how you buy abilities in like a DMC or Bayonetta. But so far, that's the vibe I'm getting from it. And even the boss fight, I was fighting it the way like you would a DMC boss, where DMC bosses are a little bit slower, where you do like get in your hits and then you have to dodge their attacks for a bit and then get back in there. So I'm still really looking forward to this game. I do think it's stylish, and especially with my headphones on. The soundtrack was good. I think Jan, you were pointing out during the UPF, just like, man, there's a vibe to it. There's a vibe to like the music and everything like that.
Yeah.
That's hitting for me, and I can see why some people may not be as into where they're going with it. But I think it's gonna be a good game, and like I said, I ain't gonna let anyone spoil it for me either. I'm just gonna have a good time.
Exactly.
Yeah, I enjoy this big set pieces in games, and I think this is gonna. But sometimes they can be overdone, definitely. And I think because this game is hitting a weird, almost butter zone of being kind of semi-hollow, but gameplay is okay.
Yeah.
I'll take the set pieces because there's no consequences to anything.
It's a good sit, right? It's good cheap fun, is what it feels like.
And that's what we just need more of that.
We need more
man.
of that, yeah.
Yeah, not everything needs to be an exhausting open world. I had this rant last week. I'm not going to do it again, but we don't need. We just need the Hollywood blockbuster of games to come out more like they used to back in the day. We just need more dumb fun.
We need the Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning Part 1.
Hell yeah.
Exactly. Did you go do the boss that was you could pick from the menu?
No.
Because I played that a little bit before I had to like ban it, and that was also very fun. I'm like, okay, I don't know how much I care about the stuff in between, but getting these boss fights and having two that I can mess around with in the demo, and I had a really good time fighting both. Like, okay, there's definitely something here for me. Also, the fit she wears when that optional boss fight from the menu is like, I don't know how to describe it. I'm like, I don't really have.
Is it the yellow hoodie one?
No, I don't have the verbiage for like women's fashion, but it's kind of like a hangy sweater, kind of like a knit sweater.
Yeah.
And then underneath, she's wearing basically like the sling kini. So it's like it's the nuttiest thing. But I'm like, it actually looked pretty cool. I'm like, man, the style, the fashion in the game at the very least is appealing to me in a really strong way.
Yeah.
And then I think like the character design has some hits, has some misses. I think the enemy design mostly hits. Some of that stuff starting to look pretty samey even in the demo.
It reminds me of what's the Bandai Namco action RPG like Scarlet
Nexus.
Scarlet Nexus.
Yeah.
It reminds me of that,
Nexus.
like having the like bug like RE mold kind of characters in this like more anime world. It felt like a weird mix. There's a little bit of that going on there here.
Yeah,
But
I was gonna say that the game also in portions of it also remind me of Scarlet Nexus, minus the psionic powers.
Yeah. But I don't know. At least I watched that hype trailer at the end of the demo. I'm like, I'm on board, man. I see her like skating on her sword down like a roller coaster track. I'm like, yeah, this is what I'm here for, man. This is gonna be fun.
Yeah, it's I appreciate a game that like just wears it all on its sleeve, and this is definitely one of those games.
There's no sleeves in this game.
Yeah, I'm sure. Wears it all on the ass cheeks.
Yeah. Yeah, very, very defined ass cheeks. Speaking about bearing it all and just being nothing but flash and pizzazz, I see here on the dock now, Dib has been playing Fortnite.
You guys.
Oh no.
Roblox
over,
is
Roblox.
dead. Long live Fortnite.
Look, I don't care the way we got here.
Sure.
As long as we could fucking put Roblox in the fucking ground.
Put it in the dirt.
Put it in the fucking dirt. Rest in piss. Okay. I'm honestly this kid, I don't know what happened. It was like one weekend. He
You
had
said he went to a
dabbled.
friend's house, right?
No, it wasn't even that. It was like we were down in DC for a hockey tournament. And
Oh, Joe Biden showed him Fortnite.
and Biden just like no, he was talking about Fortnite with a friend. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
He had not played in months and months and months. And it was just the stoking of that memory that he was like, you know what? Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
I do want to floss. Let's go.
I do want to do this. And that night, he like synced up with like 6 of his buddies all on the fucking headsets. And he's this guy now. And it's been like that for a month. And he's good. I've seen him win.
Oh,
Man.
And like he's just like, yo, dad, like let's play together. Like when are we gonna play together?
Oh.
And I'm just like, I guess we are just gonna do that. So I'm
Are there
making,
custom games of Fortnite? Like, could we do a TNT?
I think so. Right.
And have
There
like
are.
let Dib and his team like rock in the community with
Oh,
us to see if they
shit.
can beat all the olds.
I mean, he would be down. Like we should do it this week because he's on spring break. But
Oh,
yeah,
Okay, let's
like
look into it.
he's just super,
into it.
and he's good. And now he's just talking about, it's like, oh, this update's pretty good, but I don't know how I feel about this part of it. And I'm just like, oh man.
Oh no, he's
Oh,
that
no.
guy.
No, like, but no, there's nothing negative, right? It's
Oh,
all
yeah,
just,
yeah, yeah.
He's just like very much into the
Well,
scene.
Is he asking for V-Bucks?
Yeah, of course he's asking for V-Bucks. I mean, like,
He's a red-blooded American like any other.
well, thankfully we got a couple friends here and there who are in places that they can help us out there, and that's nice.
Oh yeah,
and,
collusion.
Yeah, collusion, just light collusion, like surface level, tip of the iceberg collusion, that kind of collusion.
Yeah, yeah.
Little Kalulu.
Oh,
You
man,
know,
if we have
never
a
hurt
custom game
anyone.
and everyone was John Cena. Okay.
So like it's funny because he doesn't care about like the license skins. He just likes
Yeah.
cool looking shit.
This is the thing that messes me up is like the younger audience is much more into like the Fortnite OCs.
yeah. Like he thinks that's way more interesting. He thinks like some sort of demon with a
He's
flaming
probably
skull.
right. He's probably right. Yeah.
He's like, I don't need to be Peter Griffin. Like that's fine. That's fine for the
right,
people
but
who need that.
I wasn't alive during the Depression when all that stuff came out. Like, yeah.
I need to be Bonita, damn it.
He like somehow exists in this spot where he is like simultaneously like the youngest person playing Fortnite, but also just like above everyone. He's just like a better person.
Right, yeah,
than
he's got a
everyone.
better taste. Yeah.
He's not corroded by like the sort of grime of it all, and he's pure enough that he has this like saccharine, very like positive association with the game. And look, like he kind of like plays on the couch, and my mom watches him play, and she's just sort of like, this is colorful and nice, and it's like win-win as far as I could tell. And look, again, as long as Roblox is in the rear view here for him.
Roblox is going to come back like Palpatine and Return of the
Look, I will always maintain that like there are definitely fun games inside of Roblox. Like
Yeah,
you can
there's a
have
bunch of like cool
fun.
kids making games in Roblox for that company.
100%,
Of course,
100%.
those kids
Adoption.
are making some fun stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
is Dib into any of that, like the creation stuff?
No, I don't think he's there yet. Like he absolutely has ideas that he's like written down on paper. Like, wouldn't it be cool if you could do this? There's actually one that I keep at my desk where he just like wrote down. Oh shit, where the fuck is it? I have it over. He basically wrote down he basically described like a carnival game when he was like 4 years old in pen and paper.
Game
and I just
design.
keep it here. He's just like, imagine cups stacked in a pyramid. And I'm just like, sick. You're revolutionary thinking
okay.
here. Keep going. But yeah, he's very much into it. It's I gotta say, like, it's pretty fucking cool. He's playing with his friends. He's playing on like
It's innocent, right? Yeah.
It is like, I've never, I think when Fortnite really began to pop off, I think we all had this collective reaction of like old man shaking fist at the sky of like, what is this? But like, that game's fucking good.
Yeah, and then we
It's
discovered
been
it.
Good.
Yeah, and then we finally
it.
discovered it for everybody.
It's been good forever. We just had to get over our bullshit.
I think the thing that was like the backlash that is also now aged out at this point is like, oh, this is like the Funko Pops of gaming. It's like you can put
Wow.
it's plastic, you can turn it into anything. But that's also a positive in a lot of ways because people do want to mess around with those IPs. So having a home for those things, it's whatever.
Yeah.
The game continues to be very interesting at the very least.
For sure. And I'm excited for him that he's really like, he's playing with a lot of friends who he doesn't get to see a lot. Like they live
That's cool.
far away.
Yeah.
And now he has this like awesome relationship, and he's got like a really good crew that he's always playing with. And it took a while to like get everyone in sync because I'm like, well, I don't want to open up voice chat for you, obviously outside of your friends. And now, so maybe the mistake I did make was like, I don't have a separate account for him. So he's using mine still. So like, which, and I'm not going to fuck up his progress, right? Like he's like level 67 already. I'm just not going to like,
Don't mess with the proggies.
right?
Yeah, gotta get those sweet proggies.
I don't think there's like a best of both worlds situation here.
No,
like, I
it's
think
not yours anymore.
No,
it's
that's Dib's
not,
account. You got to start over, dude.
when we were in Boston, I kept getting text messages or like Discord from friends being like, why are you playing Fortnite on Friday night at 11 o'clock? Like, what's happening? I'm like, no, it's my kid. That's my kid playing. And they're like,
You're
what?
getting wellness checks.
And they're like, what? What do you mean? Are you not home? And yeah, whatever. And yeah, I got to get through that. He's already been approached by people who are my friends they're just like, oh, I didn't know you play Fortnite. Sick. So, we'll see how that goes. But it's been mostly a overwhelmingly positive experience for sure. That game's all right.
I've had in the last couple of days, and really it's been happening for a couple of weeks now, but it's like amped up in the last couple of days since Emmy's on spring break. It is Smash Brothers every day out of nowhere.
Wow.
And I'm like, is it some YouTube creator? I think there's some YouTuber who like talks about all the Nintendo characters a lot in like crafts and stuff like that. And I think she always references Smash Brothers or something. So that got Emmy's like, oh, I'm interested in that. And now it's like every chance she gets, she's over there playing Smash Brothers. She wants to be either Kirby or Meta Knight, and then she wants to beat the hell out of me. And so I go and play. And she did it. So she had a team of like 7 Kirby's, and then I was whatever I wanted to be, and she just beat me over and over, and it was a lot of fun. It was a good time.
That's
I
cute.
did find the game description. He says game stack cups. Then person has 5 balls to knock it down.
Anna Kendrick sets up her cups, and you have to ruin her day. All right.
Right. And then
man,
it's
in a
just really
heartbeat.
cute. It's just like he had this idea.
Respectfully. Sorry.
What does that even? Okay, I'm not gonna.
Yeah, I'm like trying to follow the thread. I'd wreck
Wait,
her
I
cups.
get the
Wait,
joke.
wait. Oh, okay.
Oh, I knew. I wasn't even going there. I was just saying, like, let's sing like a cappella covers to each other. You know,
No,
like,
it's like the song "Cups," right? From
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
Dragon's Dogma 2.
I like that game a whole bunch. I think when I hear Shawn talk about how Persona is his thing and Dragon's Dogma 2 is not, I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, flip it and reverse it, and that's where I'm at. Yeah, Dragon's Dogma 2 very much my sandboxy, have my own fun, tell my own stories sort of thing, and beyond what we did on stream, I kept playing for quite some time and was able to like find some other towns, and they are much different than I was expecting. A part of me started believing the idea that, this game's going to look very similar throughout. And then I started getting to put out to like these cliffside cities and things like that.
Yeah.
So, that's pretty neat. That's interesting. And I think what I'm now just looking for from this game is kind of what I go to like Hitman for, where it's like, let me just go in here with an idea, mess around, see if it works. And then if it either does or it doesn't, but whatever, I bet in the process of doing that, something interesting is going to happen and I'll come out with another story. And it's delivered that every single time so far. I really wish it ran on the Steam Deck. It is about 25 frames per second on the Roger. And I'm like kind of settling into a place where I'm like, maybe I should just suck it up and play it that way when I'm looking to get some time with it more often. But the thing is, it runs so okay on my PC at this point because I kind of dialed everything in that I'm like, it's hard to go down to 25 frames per second, and sometimes actually much worse than that when you're in a city. But that's just why I think that's where that game's going to be for quite some time. I think if they could have improved the optimization for the CPU, they would have before launch. I think it's going to take some time for them to figure out what that's actually going to need. But overall, I'm like, I'm glad that we get open world games like this. It feels like a different slot on the spectrum from all the other open world games that are out there, and I appreciate that at the very least.
Grub, does this kind of fulfill a Mud Runners aspect for you, where it's like you make your own fun, kinda?
A little bit, yes. Kind of, the way it is like Mud Runners is I don't engage with the fast travel stuff all that much. I know there's ways to do it. I'm not really looking to do that because the game seems to encourage you to like actually move around the world physically, and kind of, if you get caught in the middle of the woods and it's nighttime and you're screwed, and you have to deal with those consequences. And that's very much how I played Mud Runners and Snow Runners and now Expeditions. So yes, that sort of line of thinking of consequences to your actions and having to think ahead, or if you're like me and you don't always think ahead and you're kind of plunging along, some fun consequence is going to happen and you have to pay for your crimes. I like that too.
Yeah, you've said that you play these games like a jackass.
Yes.
And I think that's a great way of putting it, because I can't do that. If something, if I'm like, I'm too logical of a person where I just have this idea in my head. I'm like, if the game doesn't accommodate this very simple idea, that's when I get frustrated. Sure. And I think Dragon's Dogma 2 has a lot of that. People describe as a game with friction. And I think that's a good way of putting it, where they clearly are like pushing against you a lot, and there's things
it's friction and also actively pushing against you. Yes.
Yeah, it's actively pushing against you, and there's certain things. I think there's a decent amount where they want you to do things in a certain way, and that bothers me too. I can't. People keep describing it as like, oh, it's like Breath of the Wild. I'm like, I don't get that feeling. But I know what
I
you're
get that
trying
feeling
to
on a
say.
higher level. The game doesn't work like Breath of the Wild, though. No.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
I can see why someone like you would like Grub, where it's just like, oh, I got myself into some shit. Like,
Yep. Yeah. It's what I like about listening to a lot of real actual play tabletop RPG podcast is usually the people that are good at running those kinds of shows always make sure that when you do something and the role doesn't go perfect, there's going to be some fun consequences, and sometimes it's going to hurt your character, but it's going to create for a better story. And I think Dragon's Dogma has done that for me in most of my sessions so far.
Yeah, I think of it like that playground game. It's not quite the tilt-a-whirl, but the spinny joint.
Sure.
Where it's like it takes a little bit of momentum to get going, and then like as soon as you got it, you're like going and you're riding a high, and then you get way too dizzy that you kind of got to skid to a stop. And that's been my experience with a lot of Dragon's Dogma too. Like I'll build up a lot of momentum. Like I'll get a bunch of missions lined up and then go across these random encounters, and like the world feels really lived in and like dangerous at the same time. And then it'll come skidding to a stop where my camp will be interrupted in the middle of the night. And then I find out there are ghosts in this game, where it's like, how do I hit a ghost with my sword? Bonesaw attack. I want to love this game more. It's just maybe I just don't have it dialed in settings wise yet, because it is crashing a lot.
My crashing did mostly stop. I had a lot of crashes in the early hours, and I haven't had any in a long time.
Man, I love that. My last play session where I'm like, I'm gonna give this game one good honest try. They just put a performance patch out. It doesn't fix everything, but it's gonna do some stuff. Fired up, insta crash. I was like, this is a good omen. All right, cool.
Yep.
Yeah.
It is.
I came across have you come across one of the Sphinxes yet?
No, that sounds so cool.
You
though.
haven't seen the Sphinx?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Oh, it's pretty cool.
I don't want to spoil anything, but it is very cool. And then it just made me more confused about this game, where I guess I wish I maybe had more context from the original Dragon's Dogma of like, is this a thing I should be expecting? Because everything feels so brand new and weird and scary. I really want to get to the point with a game, at least with Dragon's Dogma 2, where I am no longer scared of seeing a giant shadow dart across my screen.
Yeah.
Because anytime I see it, I know it's a griffin, and I know it's gonna fuck my shit up, because then I wind up running the other way. I do love and hate the more yappy pawns that will guide you to your objective and everything. One of them guided the whole party through a place where we were woefully unprepared for, because we came across like a Yeti looking dude and then a bunch of lizards, and I'm like, guys, we can't fucking handle this right now. Bonesaw's dead. And then I kind of just had to ditch everyone and just run to the town like a coward.
Yeah, good move.
Yeah.
How it goes.
That's how it goes. That's how it goes. Grub, I want you to stream this game more because I learned so much from the audience in that stream.
Yeah, no, that is one of the fun parts about a game like that and streaming is like we could just like do dumb stuff and then ask, hey, how's this work? And then everyone usually has an answer. Yeah.
It is interesting to sort of see like how there are a decent amount of games that have such a streaming shelf life, almost more so than playability by yourself. I just think like the theatrics and what is potentially on display with a game like this, where it's like,
oh, it's a game you can perform for sure.
It's performative, right? I think that's super interesting, and I don't think I think that is developing into a genre in its own right in an interesting way.
Well, I mean, I think that like is definitely informed by early FromSoft games.
Yeah.
And you know, this concept goes before FromSoft games, but that's the recent thing that popularized it, and that is, figure it out. We put a bunch of stuff in this game. You figure it out. Talk to each other. Go online. Look it up if you have to. We don't care, but figure it out. And and I think that sort of accepting that actually people talking to each other, and once they're ready for the answer, them finding it on their own is a guaranteed way for them to remember it, as opposed to a text box at the beginning of the game saying how something works that a lot of people are going to jive with. But I'm just that stuff never. You could see it online when I watch it on stream. When I see that stuff pops up, I can't process it. It goes right through me. I leave it behind immediately. So I think that like that informs this idea of these games are maybe better played in a communal way, and then what else? How else can that sort of manifest? It can manifest in a lot of different ways, and now these games are maybe meant to be played in a way where it's like if you were streaming it, or you're just talking to your friends on Discord, you could find out a lot more about it.
I don't think this game needs multiplayer at all, but I would enjoy some type of message system because I think that would add to the dumb shenanigans in it.
Oh yeah, sure. That's something I wish more. I mean, God, Mario Wonder basically had that. So yeah.
I actually think multiplayer could be cool, and like don't make it the
Totally.
focus, but just like in a post game patch, like way down the road, they're like, we figured out a way to make this work. I think that could be cool.
Yep.
I do think what you guys are describing is like the souls of this game, not the difficulty or anything, but just the playground game aspect of it, where you're gonna talk to your buddies about it, and you're like, I found this thing over here. You're like, whoa, let me go figure out how to do that. I think that's neat.
Yep.
Yeah. And finally, folks, we've gone to the last game here, and I'm gonna say it's the game of the week.
That's the only one that I would accept as game of the week this week.
The game of the week is Mario Golf.
Yeah, let's go.
Finally, it's day in the sun.
Grub, I'm assuming you put this on?
Yeah, I've been playing it. I've been playing a lot of it on Analog Pocket. It did come out on the Switch, on Nintendo Switch Online. If you play it that way, that's perfectly fine. But boy, it looks really good on the Analog Pocket on that screen, which is just 10x the resolution of a Game Boy Color screen. So it just pops off of it in a really stunning way. That game is great, though. And we're talking about the Game Boy Color one. So it's the early RPG from Camelot. And by RPG, it doesn't mean like it's some grand adventure. It's just you're golfing and you're improving your character by golfing. And you can challenge certain champions to match play. You could take tournaments on at different courses. But you're basically just going from thing to thing and golfing until you get better at golfing, and then you're golfing some more. And I really actually like the flow of it. It's very simple, very basic, doesn't get in its own way, doesn't like waste your time with a bunch of distractions or other side quests. There are little mini games you could do here or there. But it's like I remember like playing Golf Story and be like, oh yeah, this is pretty much what Mario Golf was. It's actually Golf Stories got way more distractions and stuff that kind of to pull you away from the golfing than you would than the original Mario Golf did. And it is like catching on in our circle a little bit. I know that Boniello had played it recently, and so when we were talking about it, he's like, play it on the Pocket, play on the Analog Pocket. And Dan started doing that, and Mike's been playing it, and I've been playing it. I'm just very into it. I kind of like was giving Nintendo some slack on this, be like, oh, it's hard to make an RPG for in these sports games these days because it would require a ton more assets, a lot more time. It's like, no, you just got to arrange the assets you already have, because that's what that game did. It wasn't some grand thing. It's just kind of putting a little structure around the golfing, and it feels so good. And I'm flabbergasted that they don't do this anymore.
Yeah, it's kind of insane. I remember really wanting to like Curse to Golf, which came out
Yeah.
2 years ago.
Right. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
But there was just too much going on, and I feel like, maybe it's because of the time it came out, but Mario Golf just straddles that line of having enough systems and then just being golf.
And it's a good golf game too.
And it's
Like the
good golf.
golfing is actually like you start like dialing in some chip shots, and now I'm like, 1 out of every 5 chip shots just goes in from 40 yards away or something like that. It feels great.
Yeah, I think because of structure, people have always described this and the tennis game on Game Boy Color and the GBA variants as well. They always describe them as RPG because of like the structure of them. But
Right.
really, I guess it's more appropriate to call them like adventure games. It's
they're
golf
adventures.
with a story. You're not necessarily building a character or anything, but they're just
Right.
fun.
It was the early idea of like, if you have a leveling system, you're an RPG, which is what we
Yeah,
thought back
exactly.
then. That's why it became that. But it's like, this is one of the early games to take that and actually do that. Because eventually RPG elements were in everything. This is actually a very early example of what that looked like. And boy, it was a good idea.
Yeah.
This made me want to go down a rabbit hole of old sports games, and it doesn't necessarily only have to be on the Game Boy Color or the GBA. But if y'all have any recs, and this extends out to the audience, any old sports games that y'all
NBA
revisit
Jam
occasionally.
and NFL Blitz.
Those two always on the
Sure.
docket. I like
Technical.
NFL Street a lot too.
Oh, NFL
good.
Street, yeah. I mean, NBA Street Volume 2 is the
Hits,
best.
Oh, NBA Street Volume 2 is one of the best games ever.
Yeah, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I feel like
NFL Street's
sports
okay.
games fun to go back to. It's just easy to pick up and play just because it's like thing.
I do. Yeah, I think the arcadey stuff has this like endless tank in a way that the sim stuff does not.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And that about does it, I think, for games. Unless anyone has anything else they want to chat about.
I just want to shout out Zachy in chat talked about the Mutant League games. Remember the EA Mutant League games? There was a football and a hockey.
There's been a bunch of like efforts to do spiritual successors to those on Kickstarter, and they've come out and they really haven't caught on. I think that was a time and place for the Mutant League games.
Yeah, I think because they were basically just like skinned versions of the of like the NHL and the NFL games,
kinda,
right?
yeah,
Like
I think so.
I think if you had the arcadey nuances, they would go a long way for sure. But yeah, those games were ruled.
Ooh, before we go to break, I remember I saw this at PAX, but I didn't. I forgot to say anything about it. Sports game, kinda. But have y'all seen Binho or Binyo boards? It's kind of like it's finger soccer.
Yeah, I saw that. I've seen that before. Yeah, it's
BINHO.
I saw this at like a barbecue.
And
They're
basically, it's like a
the
small.
nails in the thing. Yeah.
Yeah, you just set up a couple pegs, and then you take turns flicking a little soccer ball back and forth. It's neat.
It's like foosball adjacent.
Yeah, foosball
ish.
adjacent, but like you're not moving any dudes. You're just like flicking it with your fingy.
Right.
Kind of want to get one of these. That's the thing I love
They're more
and hate about
expensive than
PAX.
you think. When I saw the price,
$80.
I was like, oh, it's that much? Okay.
I like these kinds of games though a lot.
Yeah,
There was
for
definitely
sure.
a summer camp where we played something similar to this, just nonstop
Sure.
all week. It was
It's
great.
like Crossfire, you know?
Yeah.
Crossfire was ahead of its time.
Jan, I did have one thing. It's gaming
Please.
adjacent. I
Please.
suppose it's I'm watching a TV show actually,
Oh.
which is rare for me. As some
You don't
people
do
do.
that.
I don't
Yeah.
do that. I don't watch TV. I don't watch many movies either. The new Pokemon series post Ash is now out over here in the US, and so I'm finally watching that, and that's just a good show. Like not having the baggage of 25 years of that dumbass. Like finally we can tell a more interesting story. But it's the newest in this wave of kid shows that also deal with issues that kids need to know about eventually. And I think that makes it more accessible for, the older fans like myself, but also the kids. Because like, I don't know, Grub Jerv help me out here, but like Bluey, I think is like kind of the shining example of that right now, where they'll talk about like divorce in a way that like kids can understand. That's kind of what they're doing on this show, where like Liko, the main character, she like very clearly has anxiety, but like it's not just she's the anime trope of like, oh, I'm the shy girl. Like, no, she actually talks about like she has internal monologues throughout the show of like, okay, I'm scared. I don't know how to put my words out there so that people will understand them.
Sure.
And you take a second and like figure this out. And like just having that and having a show where it's the biggest media property in the world, having a show that's like, hey kids, are you like having the problems that Liko's having, do you not know how to talk to people? Are you having trouble like communicating? That's okay. You'll get through it like she does. Like it's okay. We're all gonna work through this together. I just think that's really cool. That's really
Yeah,
neat.
that is sweet. I appreciate that. Yeah.
And that's why I'm getting most of it. Like there's some fun stuff going on there with like the whole Pokemon storyline and everything like that. It is completely original. So like I said, they don't have to like be tied to any of the Ash stuff. But yeah, it's just cool that Pokemon has gone that direction.
Well, where do you watch this?
Netflix.
This is Netflix?
Netflix. Yes, totally.
Oh,
That
okay.
sounded real.
Did you guys see that graphic? I think the Pokemon company put it out of like how to watch all of the seasons of the Pokemon anime on streaming services, and it
No.
was this massive list, and it's like you can find
It's
these three on
everywhere.
Netflix, you can find these on Freevee on Amazon, you can find these on Prime on Amazon, and these are over on Hulu. It's like, what the
Nope.
fuck are
The
you talking
rights
about?
are everywhere, and it's hilarious. One of the reasons they have to do that is because they just got rid of Pokemon TV. It was a website and app.
Oh, they got rid of
Right.
it.
Yeah, they got rid of it, and it had almost that, like not everything, but like a ton of stuff just all in one spot, and just they got rid of that because of these licensing deals that have it everywhere now. It's
I-
sad.
Yes, Jeff.
Has anyone checked out that X-Men reboot?
It
my
owns
God.
bones. It's
I'm waiting
so
for the whole thing to be
goddamn
out.
good.
Is it? Because I feel like I've heard mixed reactions.
My wife actually watched it before.
wife?
Yeah, when I got back from Boston, she's like, I watched the first 2 episodes just to like have something on. Like, I watched this when I was a kid. Whatever. I didn't think I was going to care that much. I was going to have it on in the background, and then I couldn't stop watching. There is some excellent stuff with Magneto. They are tackling the politics just like X-Men always did. Their third episode is more action based and kind of character driven, and that was also very good.
Yeah.
I'm all in. I think they are doing an excellent job with that show.
Cool. I'm stoked. What is it? It's on Disney, of course, right?
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
Disney Plus. Oh my God, as an X-Men fan,
Sorry.
oh my God, and then you fucking pitch an octave
Oh,
higher.
wait, someone told me they don't have the chime. Do they not have the bell?
They did redo the theme song. I think it still rips.
It's
But,
still
like, is the
100%
church
rips.
bell in it?
I don't know. I
don't remember the church
Can't tell you
bell.
about the
It's
church
not a
bell.
make or break. I just want to know. But yeah,
I'm not
I'll
sure.
have to check it out.
I'm glad that the show is helping convince the world or educate the fucking world
About
to
Cyclops.
the brilliance of
Cyclops?
Cyclops.
Okay,
Cyclops.
good.
They call him a Boy Scout.
Okay.
His best scene in the whole series so far is I'm not going to abandon my child like my dad did, and then literally 5 seconds later walks out of the room. I can't be a part of this, and leaves the baby behind. But yeah, Cyclops, let's go. Oh,
Yeah, I'm sure he's just narking on Wolverine.
he
and
is
shit.
he's pretty cool. And now there's I won't spoil it. Never mind.
Yeah, is this
Well, Grubb's
okay?
not spoiling something. That's how you know it's good.
This is okay to
Just
watch.
don't wanna
with
be yelled
Dib,
at
right?
anymore.
Like, this is,
Oh, Dib would love it.
This is dibbable? Okay.
But also, it's like, it's melodramatic enough where it's like, that's happening here.
It's definitely aged up a little bit. I think there's some cusses here and there. There's no like F words or anything like
they're
that.
not the only Boy Scout is Cyclops. I mean, there's not,
yeah. And the violence is a little bit tuned up, but it's still all well within
I'm
Dib's
stoked. Yeah,
wheelhouse.
we'll check
Yeah.
this out. Let's
Oh
go.
my God, Cyclops is so fucking cool in that first episode. Oh my
I'm
God.
sure that's
Cy-
amazing.
Cyclops has never been cooler except for in Marvel vs. Capcom 2.
sure.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh yeah, when he's doing the backflip. I'm a little surprised that Jerf, you said you've heard some mixed things. I've heard
Yeah.
nothing but glowing reviews.
Is it the
Yeah.
animation that's rubbed
No,
people the
someone
wrong
told
way?
me.
Animation looks
Someone said
great.
it's like very very clean in an off-putting way, which I
Oh,
think that's
yeah,
more
I can see
opinion.
that.
there's
I
some
can see
bold
that.
lines you got to get used to. Yeah.
Yeah, but nothing to deter me from watching it. I'm gonna check this out.
Oh
for
yeah,
sure.
the Wolverine's voice. Yeah, that's the one thing that's like it's different enough that it takes a second to get used to it. I did get used to it though.
I
Okay.
love that he's a short king. That's how
Yeah,
he's
they made.
supposed
I
to
feel
be.
like they made him shorter. Yeah.
He's
I
supposed to
think
be
they
like
did.
4
Good.
feet tall, right? Is that the?
He's like
that's
Danny
all?
DeVito, right?
yeah.
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 Nice.
This for his okay. I've loved the X-Men. I've always loved the X-Men. I think more so than the Avengers ever because
That's clear.
snick bub, bamf.
Yeah.
Sure.
But I am so terrified that they're gonna fumble the bag again when we
Why?
get when they get to the movies. Like when they hits the silver screen.
Oh, you think so? They are gonna redo X-Men? Is that what you're saying?
Of course they are. That's what they're trying to do with this whole Deadpool movie.
With Deadpool? Okay, well,
yeah, with
all
with
right.
Deadpool.
Oh, Deadpool's very much going to that Deadpool movie though looks pretty good. That trailer,
Yeah.
I thought it looked fantastic.
I mean, I think those
First two were
movies are fun.
solid.
Yeah,
the first one's good. The second one, I was pretty bored
Yeah,
by.
first,
I think.
first one was one of the few movies I was laughing out loud in a theater
Yeah,
constantly.
but like I just mean like yeah, as a Deadpool movie, I didn't have much like reservations, but as its ability to like get me interested about Marvel again, which I'm not like looking to do that, but when I watched it, I'm like, oh, there looks like they're setting up some fun stuff for the MCU with this Deadpool movie.
Huh.
See, but,
I
like-
can maybe good in that level.
I find this moment to be so interesting.
Yeah.
Because the prediction that everyone collectively had of like Marvel overload, right? Marvel fatigue, MCU fatigue, whatever. It's obviously we're very much in the thick of it right now.
yeah.
So it's like, how do you emerge from that primordial soup again and just sort of like make it tolerable?
I mean, I think Wolverine will help. That kind of like the big characters
yeah.
coming back. Well,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think the Fantastic Four is the answer.
It's never
Hell
been
no.
the answer, Jan.
Hell
It's
Yeah.
never been the answer. Everyone collectively hates the Fantastic Four.
I like them a bunch because I love teams and stuff.
Yeah, but you again,
It
you
is
also like
old-fashioned.
You also like Cyclops. where
yeah,
right, but no one
Cyclops
else-
is a cool terrorist.
I
He
like
straight
that
up said "fuck
description.
you" to Captain America.
I just think it's cool.
A lot of people have.
You're a unique Marvel person, is what I'll say.
Oh god,
You know, you're a bit of an island, is what you're on. I think.
Krakoa, the island that they've. I don't
No,
have to
you're
get
taking
into
it too literally,
Christ.
but sure, yeah.
God, I could talk about the X-Men for 5
I mean, like
hours.
Thing. I just feel like Thing is always like. Can they just do it without Thing? Can we?
Well,
Thing
no,
is
this is like the
super
best
important.
part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's the
Nah,
best-
give us like a what's her face, Mrs. Fantastic movie. That's all I need. That's all I want.
Mrs. No, but there's a Mrs. Fantastic.
Ms. Fantastic, the Invisible
Miss-
Girl.
Oh,
Yeah,
Invisible
yeah.
Woman. Yeah, sure, sure, sure.
Yeah.
Hey,
I didn't wait. Are they like together? I don't know if I knew that.
Yes.
They were.
I didn't
Very
know
much.
that. Okay, I'm
that's why they're
sorry.
called the First Family.
Is that what, okay? I have. Okay. Invisible. I'm just looking.
Let
at
me
this
just
Invisible
put this out there. Vanessa Kirby is cast as the Invisible Woman.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Ooh.
It's pretty good. It's
That's pretty good.
casting.
Like
Yeah.
yeah.
Vanessa Kirby,
That's a
very
handsome
good in the
woman.
Mission Impossible
Yes.
movies.
Just good in anything.
Yep.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Well, we're all going to collectively just stare fondly off into the distance, and then we're going to think about doing the news after this quick break.
Come on.
That wasn't that nice. Just staring off into the distance for 5 or so minutes. I feel refreshed. I feel energized.
Recharged.
Let me tell you a sentence I just said
Okay,
downstairs.
please.
Uh-oh.
The sentence was, and I repeat, Dad, the fucking shrimp ring you bought is leaking in the refrigerator. That's
Things
the
are going
sentence
well.
that came out of my mouth.
I'm learning that the Bacalar family appreciates a good shrimp ring.
Dude.
Connoisseurs of the shrimp ring.
My man carries like multiples under his arms wherever he goes. He is just in it to win it. You know?
Is Sweet Lou dipping them in like cocktail sauce? How is Sweet Lou consuming them?
Oh yeah. He like a shrimp Wolverine, he carries them between his knucks and just goes for the tri-dip and then
Oh,
just
that's
goes
a power
shink.
move.
Yeah. So
Does he
really
eat the tails though?
no, he's not a monster.
Oh, okay.
Shawn. Unlike other people associated.
Does he know how to clap?
He's learning.
Okay.
So there is a bit of overlap there. But
Shawn said it, Bailey. Leave me out of this.
he's a quick
Women's
learner.
Day?
It's so like I'm still not over eating the shrimp tails. I still think I'm fucking being had a little bit, but we'll find our way through that.
Here's what we do, all right? Summer Game Fest, one of the team dinners, we go to a place that serves shrimp. We slowly order shrimp for the table. And then we have...
What do you mean? What does that mean?
Well, it's like, you know, just to not arouse any suspicion here. You know, it's like, oh, yeah,
Yeah,
can we
just
get
mix
this
it in.
shrimp for the table? And then we pass one over to good old Bales. And then we just like, through the side of our eye, just watch.
Yeah.
Just watch.
We get all the
Fantastic.
cameras out and the
Yeah, because
scientists put on our lab coats.
Because I think I maintain is a little bit of bullshit to this
Oh,
story.
you think you're being worked?
I think I'm being worked because I don't think anyone fucking eats the shrimp tails that are not like temporid. You know?
Temporid. Oh, God. I would pay so much money to get temporid. Anyway, news. I don't know what that means.
Just like flash fried, you know?
Cover me in batter, baby.
Hello, I have news. I guess first, you guys see this content warning game popping off? I told you guys to download it yesterday when it was free.
Yeah,
Apparently,
that's why I've heard it.
everyone in the world did that. It's like massively successful because this
I
it looks.
didn't.
Is it just
well-
called content warning?
Yep. Well, Jan, guess what? I predicted that, and I got you a code, so don't worry. Yep. Don't you worry. You
I
have other
didn't
things
block
going
it out
on.
is why.
Yeah, you're gonna be in Philadelphia and all that stuff. But yeah, that's popping up. That was a neat thing. Like, go free for 24 hours, knowing that you're gonna pop off on Twitch and all these things, and then sell a ton later. That's I bet we see more of that.
Yeah.
Anyhow, let's get into the headlines I do have here. Hollow Knight Silksong has re-emerged
Spoon heaven.
in one way or another. Spoon Heaven itself made an unexpected appearance on the Xbox store page on April Fool's Day, surprising fans who had eagerly awaited updates on the game's release date. Despite the date of April Fool's, the page is confirmed to be genuine, although a release date is still not available. The game's Xbox store page does provide new information, including an ESRB rating of everyone 10+, which means they have submitted it for a rating, which I suppose is good news for people who have been waiting for anything out of this game. But you know you're down bad when you're waiting for the ESRB rating. And I think that's just where Silksong fans are at right now. This game probably does reemerge pretty soon, but I don't know. It feels like it's coming out this year. Do you guys have any guesses for where we'll see it? We're getting
SGF?
relatively close to SGF.
SGF Shadow Drop. That's what,
Oh.
that's what I'm guessing.
That's not bad. I would like that. That'd be cool.
Yeah, Game Pass, like instantly after this press
Right?
conference.
Yeah. Well, that's a good point.
That
That's
feels like the
interesting.
tier of thing that like Keeley could get as a Shadow Drop. You know, like everyone's
Yeah.
looking forward to it, but it's still sort of that like big indie realm. Like,
Just like we'll give these table scraps to
I mean,
Keeley.
he ain't getting like Bloodborne 2 Shadow Drop or anything. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, usually when something gets a rating, it does come within the next several months. Not always. There's always exceptions to that sort of thing. But typically it's like, 6 weeks, 2 months, 3 months, in that range. We'll see. I think by this summer, we will at least hear about this game again for the first time in quite some time. Embracer is done selling studios for now. Embracer Group's CEO Lars Wingefors announced the end of the group's lengthy restructuring process, which resulted in job losses and studio closures. The divestments of Saber Interactive and Gearbox were key milestones in this process. Wingefors emphasized that Embracer is not planning to sell any more businesses, as they are crucial for the group's future growth, according to him. The Gearbox sale was primarily driven by negative cash flow rather than a lack of faith in the development team. Embracer will now focus on IPs and projects where they can capture the most economic upside. The group has no immediate plans to resume its aggressive M&A strategy, so don't expect them to start acquiring studios anytime soon, which, God, I should hope so.
Please.
Yeah, please. Okay, apparently they've reached some kind of equilibrium. They still do have several big developers. They have tons of IP. I suppose we can expect them to start putting out games here pretty quickly, or what? I mean, do you guys have any good hopes for Embracer going forward?
Unfortunately, no.
Not feeling great right now.
Yeah.
Doesn't feel great. Yes.
Track record has not been inspiring.
Yes, so they have those deals to have Crystal Dynamics work on Perfect Dark with Microsoft. They have deals with Amazon to produce all kinds of Tomb Raider stuff, including Tomb Raider games. So those kinds of things will definitely go ahead. And then they have like a ton of other smaller studios that are always working on a variety of games, and we hear about those, and every once in a while they come out. Like Space Marine 2 is like kind of still half them. I think they're putting that out with Saber, even though Saber spun off. Like that's one, I suppose, but do you even count that anymore? I don't know. It's a mess over there. But I kind of, if they're not going to be selling off any more studios, and if they're not acquiring anyone else anytime soon, I kind of want them just to shut the fuck up, go away, and come back when you have games. Let's get to that point of Embracer where I don't want you in the news anymore. Just go make games, and that's it. So we'll see. Yakuza Kiwami 3 will happen eventually. Masayoshi Yokoyama, the director of Ryoga Gotoku Studio, has expressed the desire to create Yakuza Kiwami 3 in the future, although he clarified that the upcoming Like a Dragon game that they're making right now is not Kiwami 3. Yakuza Kiwami and Kiwami 2 were remakes of the first two Yakuza games and were released in 2016 and 2017, respectively. Yakuza 3 Remastered was released in 2018 on PS4 and later on PC and Xbox One in 2021. Yakuza 3's story follows Kiryu and Sawamura as they leave Kamurocho for the island of Okinawa to run an orphanage, but trouble soon follows. And I know all about that because they talk about it in Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth.
I think this would be advantageous to do, especially with how much Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth has popped off, right?
Yeah.
I think they are going to go and Kiwami up all of these games eventually. Even so the reason I think they have not done 3 previously is fans, I think, have mixed feelings about that one. I think many don't like 3 as much, at least as far as I can tell. I'm not someone who was in that scene at that time, so I don't know for sure. That's what I've been able to gather. I think coming off of Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth, though, Jan, as you said, I think people are more curious about that stuff because they do a lot of great touching moments.
Curious?
They're curious about this. So the game does a great job of reflecting on these moments, having a chance to go back and play an edited version of these games to have some improvements. I think people would be very welcoming.
Yeah.
Do you think? Go ahead, Shawn. No, you
I
please.
insist. I insist.
Oh,
Host,
wow.
please.
Thank you, Shawn. Respecting your elders. I like it. I was going to ask y'all, do you think maybe RGG would think about perhaps like kind of consolidating some of these Kiwami games versus like
That's
Kiwami
interesting.
3 being a full 3 remake remaster? Especially if this one isn't looked at as fondly.
That's like an interesting solution. They probably wouldn't, right? Because then you get to sell another game, right?
Oh.
Kiwami, you get to sell Kiwami 3, and then Kiwami 4, and then Kiwami 5. And so I think they probably just stick it out. But they could do the thing like the Dead Space remake did, right? Where it's like, let's take some stuff that worked from the other games that the Zero G stuff wasn't in Dead Space 1, but it's in Dead Space the remake. They could do something along those lines where it's like, let's bring some of the fun stuff from the other games and sprinkle it throughout Kiwami 3, even though it never showed up in the original game.
Sure.
They could easily do that.
Yeah, and I think we talked about a little bit this episode, but also last show about just bringing back older games that are smaller in scale. And I think doing this, this all under the Sega umbrella, I think it makes a lot of sense to bring back older games and just give them that fresh coat of paint, because once you bring them up to the at least like PS4 quality level, like Capcom did with RE2 and RE3, those games kind of just are immortal at that point. We don't need graphics that are much better than that. And those games still, RE2 Remake was 2017, 18, something like that. The game still scales incredibly well
great.
here, like 6 years later.
Yes.
And, if they keep doing that with these Kiwami games, I think that's a really smart idea. Yeah.
Yep. It's kind of where a lot of these Japanese publishers and developers are at right now. We're like looking back at this catalog and be like, we have a lot of stuff that we can bring back. It's working for Capcom. Why can't it work for us? And obviously they've had success with the Kiwami games so far. I think they will continue to have even more success as the whole franchise gets bigger and bigger. Jim Ryan says PS5 is well on track to be Sony's most successful console ever. Jim Ryan, the once CEO of Sony Interactive Entertainment, has expressed optimism about the PlayStation 5 success in an interview. He stated that the PS5 is on track to be Sony's most successful console in terms of various factors, including sales, player retention, and gaming experiences. Ryan highlighted the strong performance of the PlayStation Studios games on the PS5, indicating the PS5 is delivering its best gaming experiences to date. However, Sony did fall short of its hardware sales target of 25 million PS5s for the year ending March 2024. Of course, all of this is about Jim Ryan's done over there at PlayStation. He's officially out as of April 1st. He was no longer the CEO of Sony Interactive Entertainment. Hiroki Totoki took over in his place, who's basically has like 5 different jobs across all of Sony brands, but with a major focus on gaming at the moment. I mostly bring this up. Well, yeah, the PS5's future is one thing. We're like the future of consoles. That's a conversation. What do you guys want to like be in charge of Sony going forward? Do you think they need someone that can like figure out a way to make sure this brand makes a lot of money? Do you want to be a developer, someone that has like publishing ties? Who should be in charge? What kind of CEO does Sony Interactive Entertainment need next?
I feel like PlayStation has such a lead, right, in whatever console war people insist that there still is, that I want them to just take the massive weird swings and greenlight odd things. Like we have the PSVR 2, which no one is making anything for. I want more odd titles like Humanity or just like the weird crap coming out on the PS3 and the PS2.
Yeah,
I want that.
That's what they used to be, and that's what they got big doing, was courting third parties of all shapes and sizes and having a very diverse lineup. PlayStation has always had a slim first party. They have iconic franchises, don't get me wrong. You know, your God of Wars, your Ratchet and Clank, Sly Coopers, whatnot, Jack and Daxter, and Uncharted, you know, not everything on Naughty Dog. But they don't have like a ton of internal stuff being developed. It's more publishing partnerships and getting exclusives and everything like that. That's what they've been since the very beginning. You listen to I forget who would it have been talking about, maybe it was Jack Tretton or someone talking about the early days of PlayStation and how they they were frowned upon at Sony because it's like, video games, who the hell cares? Like, our video game division is small. You're never gonna do anything. And they're like, so what do we gotta do? We just gotta get everyone on board, and so we need to talk to everyone and get all the stuff on. And that's, I think, why we did our predictions episode earlier in the year, and someone asked, like, who do you think is the least interesting of the big three right now? And I said PlayStation, because they're not that PlayStation anymore. They could be, but I just miss that they are doing the weird stuff that you brought up there, Jan. And I think that's why I think every company needs someone with a good development background in charge. Because you get like your Iwatas in the seat, and that's how you get big swings that miss sometimes, sure, but you get very creative stuff coming out of the company too.
Yeah, like I have no interest in another Days Gone title, right? Zero interest. But if you told me that there was something new and interesting, like, or weird, like a new Katamari Damacy or a Mr. Mosquito joint hitting the PS5, I'm like, all right,
that's
show
how
me.
you get stuff like Bloodborne. Bloodborne was a bit of a swing there, you know, like their Tokyo Studio. Is that what they're called? Tokyo Studio, or were called?
Yeah,
but
Japan Studios, right?
Japan Studio, thank you. Japan Studio working with FromSoft, like that was a bit of a swing. We think of it as just like, you know, this iconic PlayStation, like PS4 game now, but no, it was slightly off left field when it was originally revealed, and that's how you get those classics. That's cool.
I'm curious who you think, Grub.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I mostly agree with what Shawn has laid out here, where it's like, I don't know if there's a name out there, but like I look at like Boeing and how Boeing got in this situation. Now, obviously, Boeing has people's lives involved, so there's a lot more. It's a lot more serious than video
Didn't think
games.
you're gonna go here, but go on.
I love this swing. Talk about swing.
But the thing about Boeing's problem, though, is like for years now, who's been in charge is people who are in charge of the money. People who are like, well, we need to like squeeze as much money out of our product as possible. And there was a time when the person in charge of Boeing was an engineer, people who actually were knew how the planes were put together and understood what it took to make a safe plane. And they haven't had that for a very long time. So now that they are looking for a new CEO right now, they are very much going to put an engineer in charge next time.
They're going to put a plane.
They're going to put a
12
human plane.
podcast points, Grub. Good.
Yeah. Yeah, and so I think Sony's in a similar situation. Jim Ryan, very much a money guy, someone who knew how to make money from this business, had a passing interest in video games at best, and but he clearly was the right person for the time. But as they are now facing this future where they're looking down, like, hey, we don't know what's next, they need to put a game person in charge, and someone who has actually done it. Iwata is a very good example of that. Maybe that is Herman Holst. I don't know. We'll see.
Actually, that was the first name that came to mind for me. But I'm glad you positioned it this way, because I would then challenge you and say, like, do you think PlayStation has the appetite to insert someone with that different pedigree?
No, I don't. That's a very good question. It does not seem likely at this moment. Right now, I feel like they are probably going to go in the direction of having someone who is also a money person again.
Does seem Herman is your guy, right? Like that would.
I think he's a good candidate. Yeah, definitely someone who's rising up the ranks for a lot of good reasons. I mean, you know, he comes from massive AAA European style video game development, the very much the model that Sony has already applied worldwide. And perhaps, so maybe it's a good idea to have someone like that can like understand what the current big studios that you have need. That would be helpful.
While simultaneously, every indication says that maybe that's not where we're headed the next decade or so. But
listen, they're not going to abandon that kind of making games, but they are. They do need something else. They need something in addition to. So that's where it's like maybe you get a little bit more outside of the box. You know, Iwata is the ideal choice for Nintendo at that time, where when you're looking at him and he's like, I think there was a lot of questions when Nintendo put him in charge, because it was like, this guy just made some games. Is he really going to be able to run this massive corporation? And it's like, well, he is a game developer. He's very business savvy, sure, but he was a game developer. And so when he actually took over and understood the entire stack of what Nintendo was doing, that put them in a situation where they could respond and actually have some very interesting ideas. I think that person probably is out there for Sony, but in terms of the appetite, I don't know. It doesn't seem like they are going to go in that direction at the moment.
Somebody in chat said Mark Cerny, and I thought that was interesting.
I don't think Mark would ever want.
But I don't.
Yeah,
I don't think it's the I don't think it's like. I think part of that leadership is like a certain aura that you exude, right? And like.
Yeah.
And I think Mark Cerny's right where he's supposed to be. Yes.
Yeah, totally.
Yes, hardware tinker, kind of coming up with new ideas for the hardware.
Like, I want Mark to have a soldering iron in his hand at all times, with like a lab coat and fucking bubbling like vials behind him.
Yep.
You know,
No, you need someone who is some kind of blend, because say what you will about Jim Ryan, and we could say a lot about Jim Ryan, but that is the era of leadership where we get stuff like PlayStation games on PC, which I think is a smarter way of expanding the business, because the other side of that is the misguided approach of live service. And look, you get your Helldivers 2, but as far as we can tell, everything outside of that has not been great for the company on the whole. We haven't seen a lot out of that, but we at least see
we've seen some stuff canceled.
Canceled and whatnot. So I think you need a combination of the two. And maybe that's a cop-out answer to say, yeah, you need the best of both worlds, but I really do think you need someone who can see both sides of the argument, and that's how they're going to find this happy middle ground, because they have the business savvy right now. They just need more of that, not to be too cold here, but more human touch of just like someone who will be going out to these devs and saying, give me something weird. Give me, what was it, the Shawn Layden speech where he talked about, I forget what game it is, but he's like, yeah, it only sold 2 million. But you know what? We needed that. We need more.
Vib Ribbon? Was he talking about Vib
Yeah,
Ribbon?
Vib Ribbon.
Fat Princess?
Yeah,
I mean, that's up there, like those games. Yeah, we need more of those 1 millions to round out the catalog. Otherwise, you get your Spider-Man 2s and then nothing else. And so things feel a bit bland. And I think a lot of companies are going through that right now.
Yep. I mean, I think they need some stuff that can be small now and maybe can grow bigger in the future if they were to treat it right. And they are not in a situation where they have any of those sort of like seedlings at the moment. It is all the big stuff and that's it. And there's kind of nothing underneath. And you're going to need someone creative to kind of come in and oversee that if you're going to have a solution to that. And right now they just don't. All right. Well, anyway, happy trails, Jim Ryan. Russia may begin making video game consoles. Russian President Vladimir Putin has directed his government to explore developing video game consoles in Russia. The order issued after a meeting this week sets a deadline of June 15th, 2024 for executing the order. The president also called for developing an operating system and a cloud system for delivering games to users. Several high-profile gaming companies ceased operations in Russia in 2022 following the country's invasion of Ukraine. Gamers make the world go round. If you don't have the gamers on your side, you're going to start shaking in your boots like Putin is here. What does a Russian video game console look like, guys? It runs on vodka, obviously.
Vaporware?
Yeah.
I don't.
it runs on vodka.
Can you imagine just having to like unscrew, like pouring a fifth?
Putting Smirnoff in there.
And it just like
being
steams like vaporous alcohol into the air and it gets you
Yeah,
wasted.
like Doc Brown's future car, you got like put on screw the top. Yeah.
There's like a bear logo somewhere.
The reality is this like speaks to a deeper trouble in Russia, and I think it's one of the reasons, the underlying reasons of why he's probably actually doing this. If they can encourage video game development and making a console, maybe they can improve their ability to produce microchips, something they fell behind on decades ago, which is one of the main reasons they actually lost the Cold War, is they did not have the necessary microprocessors to do smart missiles, and so they were falling behind very quickly. This is the reason that the United States just last year was like, we're investing $50 billion in making microprocessors in the United States so that we don't have to rely on Taiwan, which is basically where all of the most powerful chips are made. Everyone goes to TSMC, and that is in a precarious position. And not just like from China, like, a natural disaster could disrupt that, and then we would be fucked. Like, those things are in every weapon ever made, let alone every other, like, consumer device. So, video games does kind of, like, juice that, makes that world go around a little bit. So I could see this being sort of a strategic move to see if they can make that happen. The bad news for them is no fucking way. Not a chance in hell they'll be able to make a console
By June?
Well, I mean, even like if they were to start the process by June, there's no way that they're going to be able to make something that can actually keep up with what is happening with TSMC or what Intel's going to be doing in the United States. It's just not going to happen.
I need a new console by June. Go.
Get me who's the rapper that had those consoles?
Soldier Boy.
Yeah, get me Soldier Boy on the phone.
What
and
are the-
Steven Seagal?
What are the odds that someone is just going to order something off of Alibaba and present it to Putin and be like,
Oh yeah, that is like
Soulja Boy,
very
yeah.
likely. Yeah, Soldier Boy's back at it. Yeah.
oh boy.
All right. Discord is rolling out ads. Discord is getting ready to launch its new sponsored advertising this week. Sponsored quests enable users to earn in-game items by completing quests with friends while on Discord. Users must stream themselves completing an in-game task from the advertiser while at least one friend is watching to receive the reward. So you're actually supposed to like stream it locally on Discord. Discord claims users can disable advertising in their settings. Discord has traditionally made money through its Nitro subscription service, which offers users advantages like the ability to transfer large files. But despite its $600 million in yearly revenue, the organization fired 17% of its workers in January. Discord CEO Jason Citron claimed that the cuts were necessary to sharpen our focus and improve the way we work together to bring more agility to our organization. Advertising is going to be in everything. Like, this is the way the direction we're going. And if you have the eyes of millions of gamers, you're worth a lot if you can advertise to them. So this is just inevitable. I'm surprised it's kind of like working this way, and it's not just like a big banner ad in the middle of your Discord server. But hey, I don't know. This is not too surprising though, right?
No. This is the way it'll all go. I kind of wish, I don't wish this actually. I thought it'd be funny if we just approached the Burnout Paradise method of just having in-game updating billboards.
I kind of do want that.
That's what everyone thought advertising in games would be for the longest time.
Like, can you imagine, like, you're playing the finals and then, like, the cash-in box is behind, like, a Blue Chew billboard?
Yeah, I mean,
Let's go.
it's the least intrusive, right? Like,
Yeah, I don't know. There's
And then to get rid of the ads, you just blow it up.
you can blow up ads. That'd be all right.
All right, last couple of stories here. Dragon's Dogma 2 has sold 2.5 million copies. And that's just since March 22nd. So we're talking a handful of days, like a week and a half or so. That is really impressive for this game. It's kind of right in line with what Capcom's expectations were, though, based on what they were predicting when they were talking about, hey, we're expecting to have a game that's going to have be a multi-million seller in the first quarter of next year. Here we are. It's doing exactly that. The original game, actually, if you combine the sales of this game and Dragon's Dogma 1, the franchise is now at over 10 million copies sold. So obviously, Dragon's Dogma was on sale for like $5.
Would include multiple releases of Dark Arisen as well.
That's right. That's a good point. Yes, exactly. So this is a massive new launch for a franchise that Capcom is kind of giving the glow up to, and it seems like it's paying off. So not bad.
Cool.
And then Silent Hill 2 gets its ESRB rating.
No.
Oh no.
Now, okay, so there's more to this, and this will be my own reporting, everybody, so watch out. The upcoming Silent Hill 2 remake has been officially rated M by the ESRB, which is not surprising given the franchise's consistently graphic nature. The rating suggests that a release window might be imminent. I have heard that there will be a PlayStation something, either a state of play or a showcase next month in May. So this is probably going to be there.
Oh, fuck. I'm only saying fuck because of fantasy. That's it. I bet
did
against
you counterpick
it.
this?
Yeah, I counterpicked Silent Hill.
Yeah,
with the presumption that it was not going to come out.
Yep. Yeah, it does seem like it's probably going to come out this year. So,
Fuck.
Yep. And I haven't looked at the fantasy in a while. I should probably pick some games
Yeah,
here.
I fell off a little bit, because I have a life, but also
You're the one that brings it up the most often.
You're damn right I am. I'm having it both ways, Jeff Grubb.
Damn, so good at it.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know
You're
what
the
else.
double dipper.
I am the double. No, wait. What did we went over double dipping?
I think we talked. We definitely talked about it amongst ourselves.
I
when
don't
were
know
yelling
if
at
we
Dan.
did.
Well,
Well, that's a dump truck.
we'll talk about it.
That was Boston, right?
That was Boston, yeah.
Motherfucker. Okay. Yeah, we gotta relitigate that on Thursday.
Oh boy.
Yeah, you'll see, Shawn. Yeah, I haven't kept up with it. I need to start looking around. Why you've not you've abandoned your list as well, Grubb?
No, I'm doing very well. I'm in first place right now, and I projected to have second place, but I still have plenty of spaces left.
Never accurate.
That's never accurate, no. But listen, the Balatro is really helping me out still.
Wow, I can't believe that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, it's
What
the
an
good
ass.
stuff. I believe it because I played the demo before it came out.
Yeah,
And then I was
cool.
like,
That's called
You're
cheating
welcome,
in
Grubb.
many circles.
Oh no, he's actually cheated in Fantasy Creek before this.
oh yeah, for sure.
Well,
yeah.
at least there's one person who has a negative score, and none of us are that person. So
Oh,
I can't
yeah.
believe that person did that, and but hey, you know, it was very good for me.
What did she counterpick?
She picked foam stars. I was like, I'm gonna shut up because
she
I'm
did
counterpicking
pick
this so
Foam
hard.
Stars, Yes. You got 10 points from that
I got
counterpick.
10 points. Yeah, I didn't even have to do
That's
anything.
gonna suck.
I think Tales of Kenzara and Stellar Blade are gonna help push me.
Oh, you
yeah,
have both of those? Okay. Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah.
I've only had one
what's
game
coming
get
out.
reviewed so far.
Do you have Harold Halibut
I do,
Bacalar?
yeah.
Okay, that's the next game that gets released on the
Yeah.
schedule here.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, I've had 2. Okay.
well, anyway, we'll do an update on that here pretty soon. But Silent Hill 2 is probably going to happen there, and there's probably going to be, does that game have a date yet? I can't remember.
No,
don't think so.
I don't believe it does.
Right. So that's why I brought up the PlayStation thing in May, because it's like, yeah, if they're not going to announce a date by then, at that point, when that thing is happening, I would almost assume like it's a guarantee that we get a date for this game
Yeah.
at that thing. So
And
yeah,
I want to play it. Like
Me too.
I absolutely want to. So I'm excited. I just wish it came out in January of next year.
But yeah, that's your Jeff Grubb's summer game mess update there. I've heard both a showcase and maybe state of play. Seems like it might lean towards showcase. It's definitely in that time frame when they did the showcase last year.
All right. I guess maybe I missed something here, but to challenge you a little bit, did you? I don't know if you linked these two together. Are you like anticipating Silent Hill 2 being at the Sony thing?
I'm anticipating it. I don't know that.
Okay, gotcha.
Yes, thank you. Yes, but yes, I've now we have this news, and then I've been hearing a bunch of times now that
I mean,
the
as far as we know,
Sony thing's
PlayStation
happening.
doesn't have a lot for the rest of the year. So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see more partnery stuff like this.
Partnery stuff. Yep, I bet they'll have plenty of partnery stuff to do. They're spending money on that stuff, even though they try to spend money to get the first party stuff going, but they can only go so fast. What they can do is bring in some more of this partner stuff. So yeah, I would expect a showcase along those lines.
You know what, Sony? Here's what you do. You just put a pineapple upside down outside of the office, and then you can just have multiple partners as much as you want.
That's right.
That's how the code goes.
That's how it works.
Apparently.
Absolutely.
Fantastic.
That does it for the news. Jan, this show's once again yours.
Well, we're gonna take this show. We're gonna go behind closed doors and confer with each other, and then we're just gonna put a squash outside, and then see what happens. And we'll see what happens after this break.
Pineapple upside.
Emails. Turns out the squash gourds in general just draw out emails, and you can send emails to bombcast@giantbomb.com. Send all your emails, and I read every one of them. I'll put a star next to them. It makes Grub feel some type of way.
Oh yeah. You get
It's
it.
a fake cigarette after
I've seen some shit on this website.
those do you still have, Grub?
This is the only one in front of me. There's like a pack somewhere that has a bunch unopened.
Okay.
I have no idea where that is anymore.
Cool.
I had to hide it 'cause the kids kept getting into them.
Sure, yeah. I hate when that happens.
Yeah.
First email today comes from Dan from Sweden, and they write about Chinese handhelds. Hey guys, I've ordered an Anbernic to play Game Boy and SNES games. It can run PlayStation 1, but the screen is tiny. Can you think of any PS1 games that would play well on a 1.5-inch display?
What Ambernic did you get with a 1.5-inch screen?
Wait, that's like
Oh yeah, I'm just processing that. 1.5.
yeah. My
that can't be
watch
right.
has a bigger screen. What the fuck?
No,
That
there
can't
are
be
some
right.
there are some micro handhelds out there for sure. I mean, I got one on my keychain. I've shown you guys that before.
Yeah.
I think
I'm
that has-
sorry.
I
I'm
have,
sorry.
like, I have a keychain Game Boy Chinese
Yeah.
handheld that's like this big and it flips out, and the screen I think is like an inch or something like that.
Pretty
Yeah, okay.
weird.
What would be good? Like Jet Moto?
I
don't know,
mean,
something-
no,
a
1.5.
platformer?
No, you need like maybe like columns. What was Well, no, that was Genesis. What was?
PS1 games?
Yeah, the Game Gear, the little micro Game Gear I got, which I always lose. That I think that's a 1.5-inch screen. It's a very small screen. The reality is, you ain't going to be playing much on there. You're just not.
Yeah, you have it as like a conversation starter.
Exactly, and that's what the keychain thing is. Yes, in the Game Gear. If you're trying to like for shoot play some games,
Forget
yeah.
it.
Yeah, I don't know, Gran Turismo, something like kind of like plotting.
Tomb
Ridge
Raider.
Racer.
Yeah,
What was the?
irritating stick.
Playing
Yeah,
Game
that's a good
Boy
one.
and Super Nintendo games would even be a little.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's not, and nothing. I can't imagine anything going over well in an 1.5-inch screen.
I mean, Game
No.
Boy. How big was the screen on the Game Boy Micro?
I think that was like 2.5.
Man, really? Okay.
What was the console you guys were talking about the other day? You're like all jazzed on it from Amazon or something like
The
that.
Miu Mini Plus that I got for Jan Ochoa,
And then
The
Tam
Mini
wound up
Plus?
picking up.
and then
Wait,
Tam got influenced. He got one for himself.
Explain to me like why anyone with an analog needs this.
Well,
You don't.
you could play. So the cores for analog are pretty good, but I don't know if like they're fully there yet for like PlayStation and Saturn and stuff like that. They probably.
Yeah,
they-
I also,
they're probably
I don't know
close.
about that. I don't know about playing PS1 on something like that small. I don't know. That feels weird to me. I know
Well,
there's
the
like,
Miu is not that small. The Miu Mini Plus
Yeah.
is.
no,
is,
I mean even that. Like I like playing PS1 on my Steam Deck. And it looks great. And
Oh,
no, I
sure, but
upscale and
the
shit.
screen on the Miu Mini Plus is like kind of
It's
takes
fine.
up the whole front. It's
Yeah.
it's good.
I guess I just don't understand. Like, is it the cores are better on it?
Well, it
wouldn't say
uses
better.
emulation, so it doesn't use FPGA. So
It can do more than the analog pocket, but it technically runs worse for those older ones.
it
Yeah,
it
it's a
can run
trade-off.
worse. Yes, some will run worse. Some will run just the same.
Well, I mean, software emulation will never be as good as FPGA emulation for those systems.
Yeah, but some software emulation is like as good as the original, just not
Well,
always
even
across the
cycle
board.
accurate is a bit of a misnomer. It's not actually cycle accurate. That's why FPGAs exist.
Right, but the perception is going to be like no one's going to really
yeah.
perceive the difference. Is what I'm saying.
Exactly.
So yeah,
That's why these emulation handhelds are so popular. You're right. Is just they can do more. Yeah.
yes.
The other aspect, Bacalar, is a lot of these just come preloaded with everything.
Yeah, China don't care, and it's awesome.
Is that okay?
It's not, but we
it's
don't care.
not.
You just shut your mouth. And take it.
That's on my calendar blocking list. Just shut your mouth, and just take it. Winky
Yep.
face.
They're just cool and cute, and I think they're fun. But you do not need
No.
one. Absolutely.
I think for the casual gamer in your life, or maybe like a COD bro friend, I think it would make a good stocking stuffer down the line.
Yes, definitely.
Or even like Mike was talking to us the other night, where he wanted a handheld and he was looking for a recommendation, and I was like, "Why don't you just you have like
Steam
Steam
Deck.
Deck, Roger Ally?" And he's like, "Because I travel enough that I do want something that I can literally just put in my pocket,
Yeah.
like an old handheld." I'm like, "Oh, okay, we put that."
Also,
way, sure, I guess.
my analog pocket is like nice and kind of expensive, and these things are like $50 to $80, and that's not like throwaway. But I feel much better about like throwing them in my pocket where I might have like maybe left my keys. In my analog pocket, I just do feel real bad about
There's
that and don't want to
also
take my chances.
those are readily available, whereas analog devices are intentionally.
The Miu Mini Plus, I got day one delivery, 1 day delivery on Amazon for when I got mine for Jan.
Yeah.
Whereas analog is all about that artificial scarcity, baby.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had to get mine from Alex.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okie dokie. Next email comes from Aaron in the USA. Aaron writes in about being downstairs. Hey, friends. When I moved into my new house a few years ago, I was able to convince my partner that the best location for my PC is upstairs in the main living room where everyone generally hangs out. 3 years later, they grew tired of the ugly desk, so I was forced to move the computer to the basement. Now I never play on the thing because the basement is like a million miles away. Any ideas? I'm thinking maybe some sort of streaming connection to the upstairs TV, but this doesn't really solve the problem since I would be taking over the TV to play games. Is the only answer to cloister myself in the dark basement? Thanks in advance, Aaron from USA.
No, you gotta shelter yourself away.
Yeah, what are we even talking about here, Aaron? I don't understand your problem. Your problem is not PC gaming based. It's living room based. Your problem is that you don't want to take up the living room area to play your game. So it doesn't matter. Your choice is that of one. You must banish yourself away to the dark tomb of your basement.
No, okay.
I'm sorry. Like,
can
what's
we
there?
do this? Can the giant bombcast be responsible for normalizing the 2 TV family room?
Yo.
No. Listen.
Why not?
Backlar, shut up. I need
that's
this.
That's what Reb and Imran do.
I know.
I think,
goals.
I think Jin and Greg have it. Yeah.
Probably. Yeah.
Look. You can do this. I have a friend who has a not the living room, but basically the basement is set up like this. But their basement has turned into their living room because of just how many fucking TVs they have down there, right? You can do whatever you want, but I think you will really run into a lot of like wonkiness because I do think at the end of the day you have to work. When you add 2 TVs to a room, cross sound becomes such an issue.
Right,
Headphones, baby.
Headphones,
Of course, right?
Let's
But then you're doing all these workaround fucking MacGyver things to like.
But the one TV is just like speaker hats. That hey, listen, that's a real solution right there. Obviously audio is the big thing, but you just got to like have a system where it's like, no, the one TV that is on with the television show that gets the sound, and then if I want to hear my game, I have to wear my headphones, and
I get
that's
it.
like built into the console. That's very simple. And then this creates the opportunity for us to like play co-op games side by side, sitting on the couch together, which is truly the most romantic thing I can think of. So this is like, rekindling love across America.
Keep in mind that part of the problem here is that this person is a PC gamer.
Yeah, that's fine. Long wires exist. They do. It's not, that's not a problem. That was the first thing I was thinking of before Aaron mentioned the situation about just sort of like taking over the living room is like get yourself some long ass wires and run them up to your living room from the basement. Like
I think the real answers here are you got one of 2 things. Either you got to own that gamer cave and renovate the basement, or Steam Deck.
Yeah, I thought you were going to say, or divorce.
I'm not Chad who was screaming that for
really?
about 5 minutes.
That's awesome. But listen, no, and I want to be clear. Like, I'm not against a 2 or even 3 television family room. Like, that's fine. You can absolutely do that. But I also don't think. I think people, if you are okay with like living with an inelegant mess, that's one thing. But like to really do it well and to do it right is an undertaking.
What about? Yeah. I've been eyeing those espresso monitors or screens, like the one you got, Bacalar. Like the little Jimmy Jams that you just plug into the switch.
Yep.
What if you make like an exit row airplane situation where you just flip up that screen from the side of a couch and that's just the gaming TV. That's just the gaming monitor. I am a big proponent in parallel play. Your partner, your wife can be watching whatever, and then you're just there too, just silently gaming.
You're body doubling, right? Is that what
exactly.
Truly, the living room of the future starts here.
No, Jam brings that up. If you just like want to, if the big deal is that you want to be in a living room for comfort, you don't necessarily want to like interact with your partner or anything. Actually, getting like a Quest 3 and virtual desktop, like I genuinely do that sometimes where I want to block out fucking everything. And I
Yeah.
just want to like kick back in the chair. Like,
Listen, I agree,
that
but
works.
I have a family, and if I did that around them, one, they would never leave me alone. They'd be like, "You look weird," and the kids would be like, "My turn, my turn, my turn." I'm like, "No, I'm just like, my documents are in here. There's nothing fun. Leave me alone." I think the 2 TV setup is less strange than having a man sit there in a VR headset.
Well, because
without a
ultimately, if the PC was in the living room, like a decent sized monitor and a TV is basically 2 TVs. So
Yeah.
like,
I do think,
they're all right there. Why not?
don't forget too, right? Like, sometimes the thing you're playing, like, doesn't work well if you're someone who's watching like an NFL playoff game next to it and you're just sort of like trying to have an intimate moment with a game. Like, it's not always going to be. There are
you
a
need to have
number
a
of
certain kind of relationship with
exactly.
your partner. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
It's
Like
not
the one where
always-
you'd be like, "Hey, can we pause this? Like, would you mind watching this with me? Like, this is kind of a big like, yeah. I think that needs to be kind of
distracting
understood.
for people too. Like there is that. Like, could you watch a serious movie while Dib is playing Fortnite next to you? Like, I don't know.
Probably not. You'd have
not.
to, like, if we're watching a serious movie,
Yeah,
it'd probably
pick
have
and
to be
choose.
one TV, pick and choose.
You
Yes.
know?
I don't like being alone away from everyone in my basement playing games while they're up in the family room.
Sure.
I do feel bad. I'm like, and I have broached the subject of hey, can we maybe put 2 TVs in here? And she's like, fuck, no way, no
What's
way.
the
on earth are we
pushback?
doing that?
What's that based off of? Just like that's
That-
too
well,
weird. We're not
it's
that
like,
kind of family, or
it'd be like too weird, and the setup would be. I think it's also hard to imagine it because we have the 70-inch TV kind of
Yeah.
like right in the middle of the room
Exactly.
of there, and it's like, what would that even look like? Yeah.
it's hard.
That
You
is.
know, that's
And
what
I
I
don't
said
know.
when you need to be very smart about how it's designed, because if you have something that's like I said, inelegant and kind of like cumbersome, it could destroy the vibe of that room.
Yeah, exactly. It's a risk.
Here's what you do, Grub. You build an arcade cabinet, tabletop style. So the table is just the TV.
I really do want one of those. I've always wanted one of those. I think my favorite time I was ever taken to the bar by my grandpa when he was supposed to be watching me was he just sat me down at a tabletop arcade machine and just gave me a Coke, and I sat there all day. It ruled.
Hell yeah.
Next email comes from Sam. Sam writes in, "Hi guys. On the recent voicemail dump truck 109, Dan and Jan were raving about Bacalar's remarkable Excel skills. So you guys might be interested in knowing that there are eSport Excel tournaments. Yep. And they are crazy. The league is called Financial Modeling World Cup, and they have points, world rankings, and live events. These events are designed for contestants to showcase their Excel prowess through solving various case studies, all in front of a live audience. When I first saw an event, I thought it was a joke, but after watching, it seemed they were earnest, and the level of skill on display was nothing short of astounding. I learned so much about pivot tables and macros, and I started incorporating them into my meager Excel skills. I've included a link to the video, blah, blah, blah. However, it's over 3 hours, so be prepared. Best wishes, Sam from London, England, not Canada." I peeped this. It's witchcraft.
It's
I don't understand.
awesome. It's
It's
so
cool. It's so
Yeah.
cool.
I mean, if you can find that kind of fun in Excel, I'm glad there's a place for people that find that much fun in Excel spreadsheets. Also, to be clear, for everyone listening at home, this was not like
No.
expert level Excel shit.
No, it was Excel.
This was like very
excelled at
entry
Excel.
level formulas and
Jeff.
conditional formatting and shit like that.
Jeff changed a number here, and it made the big number go small.
Oh my god!
It's wild.
Just really,
And
it's
there were different colors.
rudimentary in a
Whoa.
way that I cannot describe. Like literally, like day one in the class. I
Coming
think.
from the guys who don't know what a fucking calendar is, why does this not surprise me?
Yeah, I guess right. This is like showing a caveman a lighter. I get it.
No,
You
this
know?
was like Plato's allegory of a cave. Like Bacalar just showed it, and like Dan and I were like, "Oh wow!" And then we're just never gonna do it ourselves. 2 more emails. This one comes from Calvin, and Calvin writes in about Wingspan. Calvin writes, "Hey Giant Bomb crew, after hearing Jan praise the board game Wingspan on multiple episodes, I finally got around to playing it with my partner last night. I thought it was great. However, my partner started comparing it to the complexity of Magic the Gathering and then got mad that I almost doubled her final score when I was on multiple occasions, making terrible plays to give her the W. Jan, I know you've introduced this to a bunch of friends. Would you say you've been successful in onboarding each friend onto Wingspan or any other board game? Also wanted to recommend, if you haven't tried it already, the game Scythe. It has a lot of similar mechanics to Wingspan, but has a cooler steampunk alternative history vibe with mech building. Also, Pandemic Legacy Season 1 is the all-time game to play with a significant other. Thanks for reading and love the podcast. Calvin from Melbourne, Australia. This is always the biggest challenge with board games, right? Is onboarding your friends, because then it's like at least 30 to 40 minutes, depending, to like get everyone settled down to understand the rules. For whatever reason, Catan in Wingspan, folks have had a little bit more patience because I think they are also hearing the hype of it. I don't know if in y'all social circles, but for whatever reason last year, primarily during like the peak pandemic, people would not shut up in my social circles about Catan.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And then like I posted like on Instagram like a photo of like Emmy and I playing Wingspan, and I had like a bunch of friends being like, yo, what is that? Why you got a bunch of eggs, dog? What are these eggs and birds?
What those eggs do.
What those eggs do.
Mike did buy the Mega Man dice game from PAX. Now he's telling me in chat I got to play it with him. I'm like, okay,
that's
yeah.
right.
I'll probably go over for
remember that.
WrestleMania and we'll play.
That's what he was like. We were walking in a group, and all of a sudden he's just like, "I'm gonna go back to that Mega Man game." We're just like, okay, there he goes. He's gonna go buy it. All right, cool. See you, buddy.
I think Catan is the one I played. The first time I played that was on the PAX train to PAX East like 12 years
really?
ago. Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say, me and my friends are big into Catan like 13 years ago at this point.
Yeah.
Have y'all seen competitive Catan on like the internet? It's insane. Like people talking about their build order and just like tile placement is insane. But it's gonna be a challenge to get your friends into a board game. I think setting aside a board game night and setting the expectations like, hey, this is a new game. It's a little bit complicated, but once you get going, it's gonna be fun. And you, as the more experienced player, kind of have to temper your expectations when you're going into it, that like your friends or whoever you're playing the game with is going to make a bunch of boneheaded moves or like head-scratching moves. That it's like, why would you play that bird there? That makes no sense, you idiot. But the neat thing, at least where I live, there's been a lot of board game cafes popping off. So, you know, you could find some like-minded folks, play some pub games with some people.
It's cool.
Yeah, it's neat.
I like
I think that's
that.
the most important thing is not everyone's gonna be a board game person, and you can never force that. You just gotta always be mindful of who you're trying to invite into this fold.
But now that things are slowing down, we will do that board game week here at Giant Bomb where we get a UPF and get either Tabletop Simulator. People recommended there's a website that's like much more organized that has like you just like find all these games on there. Maybe we'll do something like that.
But in Tabletop Sim, we can like flip tables and shit.
And I can be in VR. Yeah, totally.
Yeah, the danger of someone flipping the table at any second is very fun.
Okay, that's a good point. The drama.
I spent a good deal of time in the back PAX East area with the tabletop stuff, and I found it to be a very interesting spot. I played a little bit of Poetry for Neanderthals with Abby and Vinny.
Well, that's fun.
Do you know what that is? Like this party game where you can only give clues in one-syllable words.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. So you sound like a cave person. That was pretty neat.
I like that a lot.
I was really like blown away. And you rent the board game, and you hold up a sign for other people where you're like, I'm looking to play, come play with me. And they like put the top of the board game on the top of the cone as a sort of like peacocking event, which I thought was interesting. It was cool. It was definitely very cool.
I was telling Backlar when we were like making our way through that I hope people are actively falling in love over board
Dude,
games.
I said that too. I said it in a much more inappropriate way, but right? Like I hope that's what happens, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, there's definitely some kids that are going to be named Catan. Now.
I'm just like it has to happen. Just like by the numbers game, right?
Yeah, there's so many, and then you put that cone up. So I'm looking not only for someone to play the game, but I'm looking for love.
I'm looking for love in all the right places. Am I right?
You guys ever think about Chris Catan?
I do.
Constantly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Corky
Roxbury?
Romano, all
Yeah,
the
of course,
time.
Of course.
That was all those responses is what I was expecting. Shawn, no. You guys being like, yeah, and me too. Yeah.
Why
Yeah,
would
yeah.
Sean doesn't know who Chris Kattan
I have
is.
literally no idea who that is.
Yeah,
There's
no,
no
this
way.
is right. All correct. No, change nothing about this.
Yeah,
Like Night at the Roxbury, I think about a lot.
Yeah.
I think about that movie a lot. Whatever.
I'm a big SNL mark. Yeah,
Sure.
I don't care. Like I still watch the show all the time.
You know?
All right, final email. Saving the best for last. This is about hockey.
Hey.
Oh no.
Greetings from Russellville, Alabama. Russellville.
Alabama. There's hockey in Alabama. Let's go.
Hey, I'm not going to take the geography quiz because I know I'm going to fail. Yo, Jeff and Jeff. Hi, Jan. Ethnic Dap. I'll accept it. I recently made a new friend that's into hockey. As a good friend, I started watching some games. I'm very much enjoying it, so much I wanted to pull for a team. I've got some options, but I'd like to have some advice on who to commit to, as this will define the rest of my life as a sports fan.
Whoa,
Yes,
whoa.
this is true.
Yep, that's how it works.
Option 1, the Avalanche. My friend who got me into hockey, and I don't want to seem like a bandwagon because
No.
I know they are very good. No?
Very good.
Pick them. Pick
Okay.
them.
That's a good one.
Option 2, the Arizona Coyotes.
Oh, come on.
I spent a lot of my life in Arizona, and I felt that connection when I watched their game against the Capitals, winning 6-2 with a disadvantage of with 2 disadvantage goals.
I don't know what that means. Winning 6-2 with 2 disadvantage goals? What does
It's
that
got to be
mean?
on the power plays. It's got to be talking about penalty kill or something.
Yeah. Okay. Well, look, the lingo will come.
Mind blown emoji. Either way, I'm into the sports I love. The hype, can't believe I've missed out on it for so long. Open to other suggestions, i.e. Predators, since they are the closest geologically to me now. Geographically, I believe.
Yeah, is the word you're looking for.
Thanks.
It's fine.
Smiley face emoticon.
There's nothing to think about. Pick the Avs. If it's your buddy, like they're awesome. They're awesome.
They have good ownership. They have a great GM.
The Coyotes' future of the Coyotes is so up in the air.
Right,
Like,
but being a fan of a team that's about to move can be fun because complaining about sports is half the fun. So you'd be like, the fuck, they're going to fucking move this team. Pieces of shit, betraying us.
it does sound like in the next 5 years there will be a team back in Atlanta again.
Yeah.
And I wonder, if the Coyotes are that team. It's just Arizona, like, apparently hates anything fun, or at least its ownership does. And
Is it? What's his name from Arizona? Fucking the Maple Leafs goal scorer whose name I should be able to remember.
Austin Matthews?
Yeah, isn't he from Arizona?
He is, yes.
What's wrong with Arizona? How do you not have like a native son that like is the best goal scorer alive? And you
I don't know. Look, Arizona has its own problems. I don't know. It's got to figure its shit out. The Coyotes, I will be surprised if they're still there in 5 years.
Yeah, it's really questionable for that. Don't do the Coyotes. Avs are probably right. If you want like a new team, I think the Kraken or the Golden Knights could be fun too, because it's like no one can accuse you of jumping on the bandwagon. They're too young of teams, so it's like, yeah, you're just deciding. No, I'm a fan of them now.
It's also okay to do that. It's also okay to be a front runner. I think it's
totally.
fine.
That's true too.
Like, enjoy the things. It's okay.
Yeah, Avs are going to be good for a really long time.
Yeah, they might
so
win the Stanley Cup this year.
have some fun. I would also choose the Avalanche, even though I'm a Red Wings fan, and that's blasphemy.
Yeah.
How many hockey teams are there in America?
32.
Okay.
Well, in America,
Wow.
28 or 26, and there's 8 or so, or 6 or so in Canada.
We play with Canada?
We play nicely with them.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
They haven't won the Stanley Cup in forever, so it's really nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Fantastic. That about does it for emails. And gents, what did we learn today? We learned a lot about soul searching. We learned about old men and aging. We also learned that it's okay to be horny on the internet. We said goodbye to Roblox. I made an inappropriate joke inadvertently about cups and Anna Kendrick, and I apologize to the Kendrick camp. We talked a lot about making wild swings and swingers. I guess that's the next chapter in Giant Bomb today. I also want to wish happy Trans Visibility Day to our trans friends out there. We stand with y'all. We see you. And also, we just talked about hockey and other sports like Mario Golf. What we got going on the rest of this week at giantbomb.com is normal stuff. No Blight Club today, or tomorrow, I should say, but Game Mess mornings for the rest of the week. Grub did a very great Tekken 8 stream yesterday. Thursday, we might get some stuff popping off. Voicemail dump truck popping off, as always. Game mess for the rest of the week. UPF, BCR happening as well. Grub and company, we'll figure that out. And Dan and I are headed to WrestleMania, where you can expect a bunch of WrestleMania-related content. Pre- and post-podcasts. Shenanigans all over the place. I've been Jan. He's been Jeff. He's also been Jeff. He's been Turbo Shawn. And that's been the Giant Bombcast, episode 834. We'll see you next week for another episode of the Giant Bombcast. Until then, I love you. It's April. I can't fucking believe it. We'll see you then.
Bye.
5 podcast points to everyone.
Yes.
Woo. You get it.
That brings me up to 5.
Do your taxes. Do your taxes.
Eh.